and kind. Stand by your word. Govern with equity. Be timely in choosing the right moment. One who lives in accordance with nature does not go against the way of things. He moves in harmony with the present moment, always knowing the truth.
I'm gonna pause right there for a second because I kind of want the folks to be in the room as we do this, and probably as I explain it. So, um, I am of the belief that Christ isn't a person. I'm under the belief that Christ is a consciousness. And I don't think it's just my beliefs. You can do whatever you want to do with it. But it's my belief that that consciousness has it appears all throughout. Like it's never left the earth. It's never left anything. It's a part of creation, whatever all that is. And that it appears in different people, perhaps at different times in different places, in order to evolve and help move humanity forward, as well as whatever is out there. And so, in that belief of mine, I don't think it's a good idea for me to lock into a religion. I don't think it's a good idea for me personally to lock into any sort of faith-based system. So, and the reason why I'm saying this is I want to take a look at the Tao Te Ching this morning. I actually want to do a panel as well. I'd love to bring people in, but I don't really plan any of this stuff. I just do it and just see what kind of happens. So a lot of this, I guess for me, it started watching, Del Big Tree yesterday. Hopefully you guys watched High Wire. It was phenomenal. It was simply amazing. The man is a genius in bringing people together who are very smart, very wise, who I think can help us get grips of what's happening today. So, and not doing much meditation this morning. I spent some time listening to the Tao Te Ching, in which I've heard it through a few times and I'm going back through it, but I think it might be interesting to see how it plays out, to try to apply it today. Right? The teachings of the Christ consciousness as brought through the Tao Te Ching applied today, and some of the behaviors that we're seeing in folks as well as ourselves. So hopefully, I see Christine. Let me send the link out because I'd love to have some people come on as a panel. We can kind of walk through it, but we really have to get a grip of who we are, what we are, and where the hell we're going. Because right now, I believe things will always end up in a great place. But right now, I feel that we're way off the reins of where we could be. And so I think that, having a little wisdom breathed into today, like yesterday, would be awesome. Yesterday, James Corbett was on Del Big Tree, and it was amazing. It was amazing. I don't think he introduced Del Big Tree to why a lot of this is happening. I think Del Big Tree already knew why a lot of this was happening, and obviously already was well aware who James Corbett was. I think that he was doing what he's supposed to do, outside of what anyone else believes. My personal belief is, Del Big Tree is an entertainer. Like, I guess, dang it, it's weird to say to say I'm an entertainer. I guess to some degree, maybe to a degree, everybody is an entertainer. Everybody is selling something. And so with his message, I think that he has to give to his audience the food that he's trying to give them in wisdom in a certain way. And I don't think a lot of those people are ready to hear that there's a new world order that is trying to take over, the entire planet. I think those people have common sense, and they know that everybody wants to rule the world. They know that corporations want to sell products. And I think if you put all that together with the stuff that doesn't make any sense today, Del Big Tree. So from me today, certainly appreciate everybody who shared this video. I think that we do need to make him a prominent figure in helping us to figure out what the media and the politicians, who are all funded by big pharma. They're all funded mostly by people who sell cough syrup, cough medicine, vaccines, and all the things that scare people. So anyway, good morning, Christine. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. No, I was amazed about the Christ consciousness. I think it's growing. It's just growing because the seed is just spreading all over. And yesterday with LB3 and Corbett, I think he reaches so many people. So it's going to be fantastic. And I can see also planetary because I was preparing for this evening. It is just now, from tomorrow, the Aquarius light is going to be very strong, enlightened. So Aquarius is actually for the people and for the emancipation of the humankind. So I find it fantastic. So I felt very good yesterday also, like with Belgic 3. Yes, was nice.
There's a lot of hope. There was a lot of hope. I mean, there were a lot of things that came out of that yesterday I found to be phenomenal. You know, the fact that, which is funny because it syncs up with the Tao Te Ching and the Christ consciousness and how all this fits together. And I'm trying to be careful of what I'm saying because I know that not everybody is ready to make those links. And for me, it is I want to know what's true. I don't care what people think. I don't care what people believe. Me personally, I'm fine with what everybody believes. I want to know what's true. I want to seek God, whatever that thing is, that universal Planck energy, spaghetti monster, whatever people want to call it. I want to know why we're here, not why I'm here, but why we're here. And I think that the only way you can do that is you look for the footprints. Yeah. And I don't know if you're familiar with like the studies of language. I'm saying real quick, the studies of language and how they know what cultures interface with what cultures by looking for the phonetics in different languages that have been passed down by those groups. I think we can do the same thing with the Christ consciousness. And so what I'm trying to loop people back to is that when Christ went to India and he was interfaced with these belief systems, it's obvious all throughout, certainly Christianity and other religions, that there is a deeper truth that is all linked together, because these were things that didn't really exist in the Mediterranean area of the time.
I think, he went for the deeper knowledge from India. So he did understand like the ancient knowledge, and he was going to bring it to the people in the Mediterranean, but the people were not really ready for his knowledge. So he spoke. I just saw an explanation from someone. So he spoke in parables, how you call it, like in stories for people to understand the truth, because that's his way. He could make maybe people understanding, but he knew that they wouldn't understand it, and he knew. He could not, like a person, you don't force the truth on people. So he knew his fate. He knew I had to be crucified, because then people will wake up during 2000 later what the Christ consciousness actually means. And it's beautiful. And I think somebody applied Tao Te Ching, we call it, and at June. And in June it said
they wouldn't understand it. And he knew I'm sorry. He could not like I was bringing up the comments over here.
Oh yeah. And it said keep quiet, and by the end of the year a lot of things will be revealed. So now we are almost at the end of the year. But I'm not good in explaining Tao Te Ching. I think Jonathan is extremely good in explaining I Ching. And it would be nice if he could.
Can we do that? Somebody go dig Jonathan up somewhere. He's probably buried in a Beaufont meme or face app thing or something. Somebody go find Jonathan and tag his butt. Bring him over here. I don't care what he looks like this morning. If I can do a video just waking up in the morning with my teeth yellow and facial hair and my face this left, right side, not anybody. This is knowledge. We don't have time for that. Tell Jonathan, get the hell out the bed and get over here.
Yes.
Because what I want to do is I want to try to get through the first, in this reading of it, the first 22 minutes, and that would be a lot to like go through and stop and kind of discuss like how does this apply to what's happening today, where we should be going, not necessarily as a group, but individually. Because when I do stuff like this, like this is about me, for me, in a weird sort of way. Like I'm growing and I'm evolving, and I'm just trying to share that with people, you know, and where I'm going. And if they resonate with that, then hey, that's great. If they don't, or they resonate with some of it, that's great. That's not. So
yeah, I like it. The different in like it's now the time for all different individuality, the gifts, and bring it together and make something of it for everybody. It's now from bottom to top instead of in history it was always from top to bottom, but now we have to gather together, do what we our knowledge we still have, and then yeah, bring it together and with the inspiration we receive, because now the vibrations, the frequencies are very high actually, so people are more easily receiving truth than ever before.
yes, oh yeah, all types of truth, and it's probably nauseating for some people. I actually see all of this as positive. I don't see it as
Yes.
good. I see it as positive.
Yeah.
I think it's good in the long term, but it's positive now. Just a blessing to be alive in a time where global corporations who feel that they own the planet, all the species on it, and they have the right to do anything they want, are pulling something globally in an obvious way that Del Bigtree kind of explains, and James Corbett has very well documented that it's going to cause a great break and then a shift. It was like I was explaining to someone yesterday, like, you know, it is a great thing when people who think that they own you, control you, and can kill you, steal your rights or whatever, push that pendulum so hard to the left. Like the more I see them pushing it, the more they talk about lockdowns and face diapers. The guy in the colonizer that runs my state, he said that you got to wear your face diaper in the house. So like the further they push that pendulum, the more excited I get. Like it doesn't scare me. It makes me more excited because it means that when that pendulum swings back, I mean, the further they push it, the further it's going to swing back in terms of
yeah, and
human
I think
sovereignty.
it's a trick. It's kind of tricky knowledge from divine. Let them just push, 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 because that wakes the people up. And now, at first time, I feel no, we're not gonna have a civil war. No, we're not gonna have like fight and things like that. Maybe a little bit. I don't feel it's gonna be extremely traumatized. I think people will gather together. It's that I felt actually this morning. I think, okay, no, we're good, because so many people are knowing now what is yeah, how this is so not yeah, so not common sense. And even in Denmark, they are successful. No mandatory vaccines.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, there was just so much in Del Bigtree yesterday. I mean, people, if you guys have not shared it, you need to share it twice. You need to share it on every page you have. Send it out in text.
And on
There were
Messenger
so
to
many
people.
good pieces of it. Because right, so even Belfast, right?
Yeah.
So what they did in Belfast is they passed the forced vaccination. And the people got out in the street in the middle of the night and started banging pots and pans, walking through the street, and just said, hell no, you're not going to do this. You know, and so what was fascinating to me and what inspired and gave me hope in that is we can do the correlation, is that so you've got people in certain countries that are ready to line up and get a mass vaccination. And what is the difference? Because and pay for it. And you got other people in other nations who obviously have different information that are saying, no, we'd rather have a civil war than take that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and those, I think, are profound times that make people start to question what's going on.
Yeah, and in Belgium too, I was the prime minister, and he said, I mean, he tricked actually very well. There was going to have a full lockdown, and he said, "No way, we're not going to have a full lockdown." And he did it actually outside the meeting he's supposed to have with the other people. And he said he just brought it up: no full lockdown, just everybody can go to restaurant and take out. So we don't want. So actually, in Belgium, actually all shops are open, so that he could prevent. And he lives in this village where I live, the prime minister. So he has his good vibrations from this office. I think you're just laughing with it. So he prevented the full lockdown. So it's great. So And it's
Another powerful thing from yesterday was I love how he started it. Oh, it was so fantastic. That Big Tree is a genius.
Yes.
How he started out by showing
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom and the other, what was it, the top 5 excuses of the people who are telling you what to do who don't actually do it. I guess they caught Gavin. I think I got a picture of it actually. He was. I was taking screenshots. I couldn't even watch. I wasn't listening. I was trying to get
you did it. You posted it. It was good.
Well, he was out. He was partying. He was out partying, not social distancing, not wearing a mask. You know, everyone was. They were close together. You could rub elbows. Meanwhile, he has passing draconian laws and talking about more locking down and not unlocking down LA. Put in the curfew.
Yeah.
And you add all that up, it is a very clear case of do as I say, not as I do. And then he had the excuses as to why, you know, and it's just, and then he apologized. And it's funny to me. And so, like I said, I mean, the harder they push that pendulum, the better, because the more it's going to swing back in their face as people who still don't get it see what's happening. You know, they're doing a job. It's his job to lock down the state. And in other states and countries, it is their job to do that. They're being paid to do that. When they're off the clock, they do what they want to do, you know, and they feel that they do have that privilege and that supremacy, which I love using that word. I try to use it in every other post, Christine, because that's really what this is. It's people who feel they have the privilege, the authority, and the supremacy to abuse everybody else while they're in office, while they're doing their job, and off hours, they do whatever they want to do.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, I'm wondering. I think it's going the right direction. Actually, yeah, really curious what the I Ching would say now, because when you apply the I Ching, you only can apply it every 3 or 6 months. So the 6 months are over now. So I really would love if Jonathan would apply the Tao Ching. Really,
he's here, Jonathan.
Can somebody message him?
Oh, he's already here, Jonathan. You know, brush your teeth. Don't even brush your teeth. Don't worry about that. Just get a little water and just splash it on your face. And because I want to kind of I'd love to get started, but you know, I would love to like completely somehow we go through the entire Tao Te Ching, but you know, get through as much as we can today, stopping in between as we need to, and apply some of the teachings of universal consciousness. I mean, people can call it anything they want to call it. I think names is what really screw us up, which is part of why I love how it starts out in that, you know, the Tao is unnamed, right? And, you know, when we name things, you know, that tends to be like a cultural appropriation. It tends to become this whole identity thing and, you know, call it whatever we want to call it. But it's just, to me, it is a beautiful, beautiful book. And I think it personifies all the things that we want to try to reapply to our life, or I do, that try to reapply to my life.
I think also, like yesterday, the water, what you showed about the water was so beautiful. I think, yes, how can we be water? Because water is the most strongest. So it goes everywhere. It goes, through everything. So it always wins, actually, but it's the softness. And I thought, wow, we should all apply, that rule. It was wonderful, actually. Yeah, and then that movie, Shawshank, how is it called? You give a good example. I see, wow.
It was perfect. It was perfect. And this is the funny thing to me when people say, oh, you're a YouTube researcher. And I laugh at it. And it's silly to me because these are people who do ABC, CBS, and NBC research and BBC. And so you have phenomenal minds who can link that together. So the whole fact that, you know, he was a geologist and he understood what little bit of pressure over a long period of time can do, right? It makes diamonds out of coal. It makes gold. It makes all the things that we love. And Christ consciousness is an example of that, right? In that over time, the way that he returned from India and injected in Middle Eastern culture this idea of selflessness, of love, caring for your neighbor, equality, right? Not being a respecter of persons, not being a respecter of races, all these things that people today, I think, are way off the boat on, including myself, that can pull us back to a point of center and allow us to see a clearer vision. Oh, it was, did you watch the whole video? It was
Yeah, I did. It
phenomenal.
was really. I saved it, so I want to see it again. It was wonderful. And actually, the people of the East have more that quality of the water because they can bear a lot, but at the same time, they are in. You can't conquer them because they don't go out of themselves. They don't go like extremely in violence or in. They have their way. Like Gandhi. Actually, Gandhi did it also very well. He, what I think, he had his principles, but he was, yeah, like non-violence. But he was actually the only one he could bring all people together because he didn't want to judge anyone, not even. He was actually he tried to be the friend of his enemy too. Actually, it's very good. His autobiography is amazing. How he writes, how he did it, how he approached people. Everyone, even the smallest, he advised the smallest, the children first, many times. When he was going to how I have to approach to this, and he went to children 4, 5, 6 years old for advice. And it's amazing. And then you find a way to so actually, yeah. It's the innocence and it's and the softness and the patience. I think those three things is because fire, like water is the strongest element. We have fire, but water can put out fire.
Water puts out all fire over time. Water breaks through all stone. Water
Yes.
breaks through all creations of man and nature. Water always wins in the end.
Yes.
And I think that was why it was a perfect analogy. And what you said that just always made me just get the chills is
Yeah.
I always go back to women and like, only because obviously we're in a patriarchal society and those who have really probably been more waterish, but
Yeah.
those who are more like the creators, and we're all one. So I don't really want to get into the whole identity thing. It's just that I think about like the strength of a lot of women and what they've lived through, today, and especially women going back further in time. I mean,
Yeah, they
the
bear a
idea,
lot.
yeah, to accept that you are basically being treated as though you're a slave and you're just remaining, within your space. You're
Yeah.
acting as water, right? You're being
Yeah.
patient. You're
Yeah. If you
slowly.
see,
Mhm.
yes, if you see, yesterday I saw a picture. It was like an Indian woman, a poor woman, and then a rich, rich Western woman. So totally makeup and everything. And the Indian was super poor, and yeah, carrying like a whole weight of so many stuff. And the dignity she was like, it was like such a big difference. It was just a poor woman on barefoot with a simple sari, but her strength and her love and dignity that she was radiant, it was nothing to compare with that rich Western woman who was trying to show off with her looks or whatever. And I think it's so ridiculous that it's the West actually. I mean, we have more learned to relate on outside behavior, and the East is more related to inside behavior. So they kept their dignity even if they're poor. And that is what I see if you go in India. Maybe now it's less, but if you go like 20 years, you went to India, the poor people they're very dignified. They're poor, but they're very dignified,
Yeah.
and they have their inner proud, but in a good way.
In a good way. And I'm gonna add to that because now trying to take what we're talking about, because it's all, this is all in the Tao Te Ching. And so apply to today is what came to mind because it's what's in the news, and the best I can, I always try to troll the news with their nonsense because they try to take something that needs to happen, but they guide it and turn it into a tribalism thing, so nothing actually gets done. Is Black Lives Matter? And I'll list White Lives Matter with that, like just what we've just processed. There are men who also have acted as water too, right? There are men who were just born in just really rough situations, and they've still maintained and pushed through and remained, to a degree passive yet strong and tolerating where they are to get to a better time. I would carry a sign for anybody but myself, right? So if I perceive myself as being Black, I'd never carry a Black Lives Matter sign. I'd carry a White Lives Matter sign. I would carry a Women's Lives Matter sign. I'd even carry a poor Black Lives Matter sign, but I would never carry a sign for myself because I have food, I have a house. You know, the future's uncertain for everybody. You know, nobody knows, you know, who's going to be homeless in a month or 2 months, 3 months. But it's a weird thing. And this is why I'm glad you said that. I think that they were relating Eastern and Western society to the yin and the yang, you know, being more inward and more outward. And my interest and my thought that if I can assess a reason why we're here, it's to look out for each other, not to look out for ourselves. And so I think the way these Western cultures work is they have a degree of narcissistic sociopathy, group-based thing that they do. And they try to make people into like group-based, you know, narcissists, where they're always speaking up for me. This is what I want, what I need, and you're going to listen to me. And I think that all stops. And real solutions happen when people start carrying signs for each other and not for what they perceive themselves to be.
And the thing what helped, I think the Indian people, or the people of the East in general, they kept to their old wisdoms, to their old traditions. So they, although their politicians are also very corrupt, they are not going so much outward because they kept to their inward wisdom and dignity. So they didn't lose, I mean, they didn't sell their soul so much to matter and to having a social degree or social position, whatever. They kept more to their inward because for them it's more important, because they know, I mean, in India for sure, because it's never been gone away. Like, we are just a body and the spirit is inside of ourselves, and our life maybe is just like a dust particle in universe. So why should we, I mean, my life can take maybe a few years, or why should we totally lose ourselves because of this material life? And the West is the opposite. They want to have success in a material life, and they lose away their inner guidance. And I think in the East and more traditional folks that never lose their inner guidance. So, like in Syria, I was also thinking, like, they fought so hard, and those people, if you go there, I mean, yes, I saw a documentary. It's still like they're very generous, very hospitable. They're not like super bitter, even to people of the West. So it's like. And they also still keep their old traditions. Even, I don't know about Assad and about, I mean, I don't think he is like what they say in the media, but in general, the people, they keep together. They try to make it, and they try to keep positive with as a group, and respect each other individuality, because there are a lot of religions in Syria. And it's not only Muslim, it's Christianity, it's Hindu, it's even the Russian, how do you call it, Russian Christianity? There is a name for, I don't know, but different kind of groups, they respect each other and they go along very well. But even after all this year, those people are not broken yet.
Yeah.
So it's like amazing.
It is, and I'm gonna try not to chime in after that, because I want to play some of the Tao Te Ching, and it's funny. I mean, people don't realize how easily these videos can go for hours, because there's just so much in thought and sharing that you can do here. So I want to play a little bit of the Tao Te Ching. I want to get through the first 20 minutes if I can. I know we're going to stop in between, but when it gets up to the 20-minute mark, which is 22 minutes, I think it was, which I really want to spend, it ends where you just talked about, you know, the president of Syria, right? So that's where it starts talking about governing.
Oh yeah.
And that the best governors do governing. And so that's huge when it comes to sovereignty. And
oh yeah.
So let's play a few minutes of Jonathan is here.
Yes, Jonathan, you have to come on.
Well, he's here. I don't know if he wants to come on. He's probably in his pajamas.
Yeah, Orthodox. Yeah, just Orthodox.
I'd love to see Jonathan in his pajamas, and it's not like a thing that I'm interested in men in their pajamas. I'm just curious. What is Jonathan? What kind of pajamas did Jonathan like? I don't know. I have weird thoughts. Like I'm seeing flannel. I'm seeing polka dot. maybe pinstriped or something. I bet you he might have like the really fancy. All right, let me stop. So let's play a little bit. I don't want to be a Beaufont to Jonathan real quick. That's Beaufont's job. I don't need to do his job. And this is a new feature on here that you can actually play videos. So let's see if it actually, if I get,
just
you know
what to do. To keep on filling is not as good as stopping. Overfilled, the cupped hands drip. Better to stop pouring. Sharpen a blade too much, and its edge will soon be lost. Fill your house with jade and gold, and it brings insecurity. Puff yourself with honor and pride, and no one can save you from a fall. Retire when the work is done. This is the way of heaven. Carrying body and soul and embracing the one, can you avoid separation? Can you let your body become as supple as a newborn child's? In the opening and shutting of heaven's gate, can you play the feminine part? Can you love your people and govern your domain without self-importance? Giving birth and nourishing, having yet not possessing, working yet not taking credit, leading without controlling or dominating. One who heeds this power brings the Tao to this very earth.
I think I'm gonna pause in between the breaks. And what I get out of what do you get out of that? I assume you've been doing this a lot longer than I have. I mean, you know that certain cultures a lot better than I do. This is kind of talking about the yin and the yang and the good and the evil and how they work together.
So it's not, he says, I mean, what I get out of it, so like shortly, is it's not about gathering things, it's about the joy by doing things. That is, I mean, the last thing I remember is that is what is important. The road is more important than the destination. Because it's like, like you gather a lot, you are more insecure because you have to keep all your eyes on what you have. Like, okay, I have gathered so much, I have so much wealth and so much, and everything is you're out of your you're worrying all the time. Okay, can I keep it? To keep your wealth instead of when you enjoy the work and you're finished, that's what he told, and this is the way of heaven. You doing it at the you enjoy doing what you need to do, nothing more, and you will be rewarded according. I mean, you will have what you need to have. That's what I believe. Is like, okay, you do what you need to do, and you will be provided. Like Jesus says, look at the birds in the sky. They don't have to work. They don't have to go from 9 to 5 to job, something like that. They still have their food. They enjoy. They sing all day. It's more like, I believe. So we have to do what we are gifted with, without thinking about the material things that comes with it. But we will be provided, more or less. That's on the end. But in the beginning, I missed. I forgot already. No, I didn't forget. But it's like. The mind was like on the wealth is different than the mind who's on the joy of the gifts you can you have, like doing the things you can do. Like you enjoy your work because you are gifted in it. I enjoy what I do because I'm gifted in it, and that's the way I think he tries to is going to. But that's the last thing. But you tell what you hear, because now I'm just a little bit.
Well, I mean, and this is why I wanted, you and certainly Jonathan, if he stops being scared. I think you're talking about the different pajamas he wears. So they probably got pictures of him like Gavin Newsom. No, I guess I processed that from I was always raised to believe there's good and evil, right? There are good people and there's evil people. And as you know, being close friends. And I got the tea, by the way. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Just coming to a place in my life where I realized that there are no good and bad people. There are no good and evil. And I've said it 80 times, but I think I try to give people credit where credit is due because they're helping me evolve. And I think it was Anthony Costello, the brother who's usually around. He said there's only unsustainable and sustainable.
Yeah,
and that the
in the East they call it there is balance or imbalance. So I remember the first time I went to I met people from the East and they said, "Oh, that's evil, that's bad," and they were laughing so much at me. I said, "Why are they laughing me? You lady, why are you talking like that? There is balance and there's imbalance. You judge. I mean, by saying evil and and bad and good, you put too quick a label on people because you don't give them the opportunity to become in balance again, and that's
See, you know what the problem with this is that the universal consciousness, Christ consciousness, true seeking God, whatever people want to call it, it all feeds together. And the next few points that they make, it feeds in what you just said, but it's just, so the work only gets done if things are in balance. If you do have that unsustainable and the sustainable, the good and the perceived evil, and that they drive each other. But later on, he talks about, what is, a good man, but there for the bad man, and bad man for the good man. And I don't want to really say it yet, but which is why I'm gonna try. Let's see if we can do this. And Beaufort, he actually would be another good lawyer. He's another
he's
very good, very
explaining.
Principled, root explainer. So hopefully he can wash that face and whatever he needs to do and come through. So let's keep it going. So right, there's work to do. I appreciate your example of the bird, right? The bird has no interest in the fact that there are hunters around. The bird knows that it has a job to do. It's going to do that job. I must go out and collect their bad things, and I'm still going to do it. I'm not going to be too greedy and collect too much. I'm not going to create central banking and bank accounts. I don't need to have power over other things. It will hit Beaufort real good. No good and evil can, constructing and interfering.
And the bird sings all the time, most of the time.
Oh, cool, great. Did you hear that, Joe? Joe's in the house. Joe Workers. Did you hear that? My bird is always. Are you always singing, Joe? Do you listen while you work?
Be strong. Let your life come out. Let your dreams spill down like a waterfall. Yeah, that's actually, I'm a songwriter, so I like songs. Christine, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's afternoon here. I have just my afternoon tea.
Okay.
So, yeah. My Indian, the Umkara, if you can see, that's my cup.
Oh, how neat. That's awesome.
Yeah, somebody made it.
Looks like, I want to jump in here because I'm trying to follow the comments, and I want to explain myself because they're evil exists. They're kind of getting on me a little bit. So let me explain what I'm saying. I think that because I thought I've said this before. The way Anthony put it, he said there's only unsustainable and sustainable, and the unsustainable drives us into more sustainability. And so over time, there's less unsustainable activity, right? And you can link that to today, right? There's less central banking. There's less control. There's less authority. There's less laws. There's less debt. There's less child trafficking. There's less abuse. And so those things exist because they make the opposite side of it be so good. And the only way the good has to, can increase is by this darkness or this unsustainable constantly pushing us to become better and better and better, and that it will never go away. There'll always be a relative evil or a relative unsustainability or relative darkness. It's not to say that it's good and it's okay that it's there, but I think the point is that it's necessary. If it's not there, we would be complacent and there would be no good and evil. And
I think it would be, I think we would be just not growing. It's like even plants and everything evolves. Even plants, like animals, from how they looked like 1,000 years ago, how they look now, everything evolves, and the plants became more refined also. So if there is no force that can drive us in evolving, then it's rigid, like the water, like again to the water, going to the water, is everything is rigid and brittle. It breaks and it gets destroyed. And
Well, how does the saying go that trials come to make us stronger, right? You know, when we go through those things, that's what really, you know, when you get hurt, like I used to have a martial arts supply company, and we used to sell the Kimmy bags. I never did martial arts. For me, it was capitalism. You know, I wanted to be the master. I don't want to be the master anymore. But you would beat your hands with the Kimmy bags. You would have the Wing Dao, I think that they're called the Wing Chun dummies, and they're just big wooden structures that look like human beings. We were talking about Bruce Lee earlier, and you fight with them. And as you hit these things, you're creating damage to your hand, right? You're creating calluses. And so this is a part of training. And so that as you do that, you're creating calluses on your hands in the right spot. So when you get into a fight, you don't really feel as much as you would. You're numbing those senses. And so those calluses, I think, applied, you know, in that, you know, trials come to make us stronger, is that, you know, you're building up calluses because you know maybe that there is a fight coming, but you're becoming stronger, you're training. And so I think all of this evil, per se, is training us, and it's making us stronger, and it's pushing us forward. So you know, you have a comment on that, Joe? Or I want to play another.
Well, I mean, I came in late, so I'm gonna kind of stay quiet and listen. But it sounds like we're on a topic of, you know, if there is such a thing as good and evil. You know, I mean, I'm assuming is that pretty much what you're talking about, or what, in what context?
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I'd have a title, but it's not sure. But what I'm trying to do is we're going to listen to the Tao Te Ching, the first portion of it. We'll call it part 1, and we're applying it to today. Right? We're looking at the modern times and the wisdom that come from this, what seems to be a root conscious level truth that is embedded, I think, in most things that are good, whether they're religions or teachings or natural law. It to me, are you familiar? I mentioned, are you familiar with the study of languages, right? Like how they know what cultures interact with what cultures, have to do with the phonetics and the language, because that gets handed down. And to me, I view like the religions kind of in that way. Like, you know, where they've come from based on the truths that are there. And Susan is another one, actually, and she kind of talks about like the Hermetica and the Emerald tablets, and you know, and these things, they all resonate of scriptures that are in the Bible. And so we know that a lot of those scriptures, if not teachings, come from earlier sources. So I like the Tao Te Ching because when I read it, it feels like I'm in a church without the extra. I'm in a church without the dogma. I'm in a church, and it speaks to what Christ obviously got from, and it's not that he read the Tao Te Ching, but perhaps got from the region. Maybe they were greater teachings. And so anyway, so what we're doing is we're just kind of going through it, because I think a lot of us feel that there are some root truths that we need to spend time with and applying them to today, all because Del Bigtree put James Corbett on his show. Yeah. And so there's a rough awakening, I think, that a lot of people are sensing. You know, but we need to have balance and calm. And so that was just the first portion we were talking about.
I think it's great. And, you know, it's like, I think spirituality in itself, if anything that is, you know, your conscience, you know, I think is it's a natural thing. I mean, we don't have, you know, that's why the religions are not necessary, you know, not the guiding light. It's more your own consciousness. It's more your own.
Yeah, I think it's the level of understanding, because I don't think religions are are wrong, but the understanding of religions and message of the passing through the different ages makes people interpret the religion according to their level of understanding. So I think if you have already a high evolved consciousness, you can take out the best of every kind of religion, because actually religion is a gateway to true spirituality in every culture. It's a gateway still. It's not the end goal. It's the gateway.
Yes, and I'm gonna shoot back to Jonathan, because he hadn't. I don't know if he's got to shave or do something yet. You know, he's probably teaching a class. I'm just giving him a hard time. Is that it exists? We're not saying evil doesn't exist. And when I say that, when I'm saying I agree with what Anthony's saying, is that I'm saying that I'm agreeing that it has the wrong name, right? Like there is a connotation with the word evil. When I say that you are evil, it means that I am good, right? There's a whole
And you create
sociopathic
opposites,
thing
yeah.
that, right? It's when I say you're wrong, it means that I'm right, right? I'm right enough to know that you're wrong. And so to me, I try to avoid things that put me in a prominent spot, you know, things that
Yeah.
make me feel as though I'm self-righteous to give me the authority to make such judgments, right? We're not supposed to
Yeah.
judge.
Now
So I
you
think
do.
it's just, it's the name. And so I'm not saying evil doesn't exist to anybody. I'm saying that the name is wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's because I would be you if I were in your shoes. So I have no reason to judge you, whether you're in Black Lives Matter, you're in White Lives Matter, you're in the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the central banks, the Joe Biden, Obama, Trump. If I were them and I were born in their shoes, and this, I'm gonna leave this on me. You know what? I'll ask you guys what you think on that, because I guess the conversation went that direction. Is I feel if I were in their shoes, I would do exactly what they do. I feel if I were in the
Yeah.
shoes of someone in the Ku Klux Klan, and it applies to today,
I
I
can
would
give you an example
in
of
that
that
way,
because
I would do the same things that
yeah.
they do, because these are environments that are forging people, right? Like
Yeah.
and to say that I wouldn't, there's a lot to say that I wouldn't would be to say that I'm actually better than them, that there's something better about me, that I would be a better person than you if I were born into the abuse or the poverty or the doctrine as a neutral.
Yeah, there is. I can give an example. There is the one Indian sage who wrote, I think, the Ramayana of the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know, one of those two holy books. He was a thief, a robber, and a raper. And at one time he met a guru, because in India, there was the land who was blessed with a lot of gurus. And I think the guru approached him in a way that he didn't say you're such a super bad person, but in a way that he could reflect on himself, and he changed him totally the opposite, so he became a holy man. Totally, I mean, one of the best. So that's sometimes the most evil one. If they are allowed to approach them in a good way, they can become also the most high evolved one, because they have those both powers maybe very strong in them, but they choose the road downwards instead of upwards.
So you,
So I think it's on us to approach them in a way that they might be awakened or not.
yeah, I mean,
But of course, we have to avoid to get sucked by them. I mean, if you have to run away, you run away. Yeah, it's not like you're going to. I mean, when there is like somebody who wants, and you feel like he's really want to hurt you, yeah, then you have to save yourself. I mean, it's like a little bit like common sense too. But if you can approach people who are totally destructive in a way that they can understand, they might be able to change. But that's that could happen. I think there are more examples in history like that.
I mean, you look at the stories in the Bible. Paul was killing Christians before he became a key component of Christianity. People just change because of their consciousness and because of the principles set forth in the universe. This is nothing new. The spirits have been around, and gods and spirits for the consciousness of the humans have been reaching out to gods and spirits since the beginning of time. And we know the story of Christianity. We know the story of some other religions. But the bottom line is your own subconscious is your body. It is your person. Today I was reading in Gab. The Gab app is interesting because you could go in different categories and look at real news happening all over. And today I was kind of taken back. They have feeds of different things that are happening, such as, oh, 2 people starved their dog to death, and are 30-something years old, records a pedophilia event with his own daughter. You know, is this evil? You know, I would say it's at the lower consciousness level, and that a higher conscious level is above that kind of stuff. In other words, it's a more positive energy, and so the universe is built on energy. And
yes, it's the energy. You have to try to reach the high frequency. So I mean, if they're able, because in that way we see hell and heaven. But if we ourselves go by low vibrations, we create our hell by ourselves. And I think if you if you can raise your, but that's also going together with consciousness. How more conscious you are, how more responsibility you have to bring more consciousness to the world, to the people who are ignorant.
Yeah,
and even surely to children. Like if children are born in those environments which are very destructive for them.
Absolutely. So I want to say on that. So right, in terms of my ignorant idea that we're going to get through the first 20 minutes of the Tao Te Ching is just not going to happen. This is we played 5 minutes. And like there are a million points that can go around. So right. So this is that it was going to be a 1 and a 2 or 3 part series. This is probably going to be a 1 and a 100 part series. But I'm not going to let my wants to drive it. Right. There's things I think that we need to spend time when it's time to sit down and spend the time and have a discussion. So Pat did a great job of circling it back to I'm gonna flip the name back up here again. I'm gonna find her comment. She said, you know, so she's relating to viruses to being evil, right? Like I'm trying to do my best to reapply it back to today and how our behavior is really not where maybe it needs to be, right? And so, where's her actual comment? It had to do with viruses and how we perceive them as evil, or how we're told that they're evil. And to me, it was beautiful because I just actually had that conversation this morning, trying to, you know, best that I could explain to someone that viruses are not evil. They're not out to get us. They're not, you know, they're a part of our ecosystem. We evolve with these things. They're an extension of our immune system. And if someone can convince you that virus bad, virus evil, and I'm good and I need to fight you, and that kind of led to one of my posts this morning, which was, you know, we can divide the earth up. Like I kind of think that at this point in time, because I'm sick of hearing this word, be safe. There's no being safe on earth. We're here to be conscious on earth. Yeah, so if we divide the earth up, you have safe earth on one side, and then you have earthy earth on the other side. We'll have dirt and bacteria and viruses and funguses and all the, you know, natural ecosystem and dirt floors or whatever. And the thing is that, you know, eventually everything would die on safe earth, the sterile earth. They'd have to come visit us, see the animals and the rhinos. They can send their kids and stuff, and they come visit. We can all play and stuff, you know, get a little bacteria. But eventually they're part of the earth. Safe earth is going to go extinct. You cannot be sterile. We are a part of this ecosystem. Viruses aren't bad. They're a part of us. We have to, somebody said, be healthy. So I think that applies to today as well. It's this, there's something about us that when we say that is evil, then we have to go out and wage war on it instead of, you know, processing how we are supposed to be adapting with this thing in a way where it doesn't kill us.
Yeah.
And that discussion always leads me back to, are you eating soda pop for breakfast? Did you eat fruits and vegetables or Pop-Tarts? Right. So if you're doing that, then yes, your ecosystem feels like it's your enemy, but it's not. You know, and I'm gonna say this because I get these thoughts and I don't get them out, they're gone. Right. So I was processing that, and this was in a conversation that, so if we, the healthy people who aren't scared of viruses and oxygen and bacteria and stuff, and we're out trying to be exposed to everything because we're a part of the ecosystem, we want to evolve with earthy earth. In a way, you know, we're protecting people, right? Because, you know, like I get run into these things. I don't show any symptoms, right? I'm not coughing things up. I'm not blowing my nose. My body sees it. It beats it off within a few hours, or, you know, I don't get any symptoms and it's gone. So it's not that I fight the virus off. My body ingests it and it learns to work with it, right? It learns to attach to the protein, the receptors, and it
That's
keeps it in check
actually,
so it doesn't spread out and get
yeah.
on anyone else. And so this is what I was thinking about. And
Yeah,
so, but
that's
if
actually
you
a
think,
very good analogy
yeah,
because you say your virus is your body is adjusting. So like if we do the same in our behavior instead of fighting it and putting poison on those people, whatever, and destroying them, maybe there
water,
must be kind of interaction that they also
right?
can grow.
Water, being patient over time, adapting. And so what we're doing is, so if I shed anything and you have access to anything that my body is utilizing, because your body utilizes the DNA from viruses, right? It means that you're only exposing somebody to a little bit of a thing, right? As opposed to coughing up billions of whatever that is, you're only exposing a little bit. And in that way, healthy people are actually vaccines. We are multi-generational vaccines, and we are buffers for people so that when you get it, you guarantee that it's not going to pass from you to somebody else. And if it does, that adjustment period is a very short period of time to where you're only introducing someone to a couple hundred strains of whatever the viral particles or whatever they are, as opposed to billions, right? So we are almost multi-generational vaccines and natural herd immunity living in earthly existence. I'm sorry, it was a long thought, and that's why I said there's no way we're going to get through the first one.
A lot of good. You might want to read the comments. A lot of good comments. You might want to read.
Okay. Yeah, I want to go back down to the guys. So we'll do comments, and let's focus on comments, and we'll do this as long as it takes. I'll commit to that. We'll do, this will be part 1, and we'll just keep going through it till we get to the end. So if it takes us 1,000 parts, we'll do it. But as long as I think there's discussion, we probably should continue to be through it.
Okay. Yeah, true. It goes around. Yeah, true. Yeah, actually, it's life naturally is always cycling. It answers and it gives back what we give. Like it's we can't avoid life. Whatever we do to it, we get it back. I think it's just the way life is. I think we can't. And whatever we say, bad or good, I mean, life will just balance everything. It does do that in every way, and sometimes painful, sometimes not. But that's just the energy. That's like the water is also related to the divine energy. Is also like the Aquarius. If you have the sign of Aquarius, he's having a pot in his hands that is pulling out water. And actually, that water is always flowing, if the Aquarius sign. And that's actually the divine energy. It can never be rigid. So it's always flowing. It's always refining, nature and life. It does do that because that's its task to balance everything.
Yeah.
So I like what we said earlier, how when you raise your conscience level and you do the right things according to, what you should kind of feel, through your subconscious, such as eating right. Of course, it'd be nice to have a population that, was encouraged to plant their own gardens and do all the right things instead of jump on a system that is just that. It's just a system. And so people just lost their way. And now a lot of people are trying to find their way back to their spirituality. And I think Christianity is not necessarily their answer, and neither any other religion. They're looking for something that makes more concrete sense to them. And that's why I talk about principles. Everything we do, everything that proceeds out of our mouth, everything we say every day is part of your overall consciousness for your life. So if you're constantly focused on negative energy and negative thoughts and negative things come out of your mouth, it's very important that the things that come out of your mouth are what sets the tone for your life. So you have to put things into the atmosphere that make yourself a higher level conscious. And that is probably one of the secrets of the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right. You have to always stay on the higher level. Even if we get attacked by lower level energy, we have to stay where we need to stay.
Yeah.
But it's exhausting. That
It
was
is.
someone's comment earlier before. I mean, it is. It's exhausting, and half the time, you know, two days out the week, I just want to go find a cabin in the mountain somewhere and just be done with it. Like, it's just weird to live around people who think that, you know, this pharmaceutical industry making synthetic compounds, taking us and separating us from nature, taking us out of our balance, taking us out of a sink that's been there for 1 billion years is a good idea. And it gets exhausting. But the thing is that, you know, back to the whole, you know, we are one, right? We're all connected. And if I were them, I'd be them. And if I were them, I would want that someone would have the patience to help explain it to me in a kind way and kind of work through the things that I struggle with, because I was indoctrinated to believe things that were a lie.
Mm-hmm. Somebody asked in the chat, what is karma? And Chris says, she says, karma is the energy you put out that comes back.
Yeah, I think.
So yeah, and I agree with that. I have to add in something, that it is something you put out that comes back, but it also is something that's modifiable. Right? It's not something that is guaranteed that you've done these things and you're going to pay this heavy price, right? You can alter that. So you can put out good karma. Right. You know, you can put out bad karma. As an example applied to today, you can be, you know, a United States incorporated. You can be in political parties that are waging war on the war and blown up babies, protecting Epstein and stealing resources, colonizing, pretending that you're better than anybody else. You could be. But at any point in time, you can say, no, I put out so much negative energy and negative dark karma that I'm going to start to change that and do good things and fix that. I understand that we destroyed Yemen. It was for oil. I'm going to start speaking up for the babies there who are being starved. I've realized that, you know, wearing a face diaper is getting people in Africa tested on because I'm privileged and I'm a supremacist in America. And I know if I have this on my face, that poor people somewhere else will have to pay the price and be tested on by the pharmaceutical industry because I refuse to eat healthy and build up my immune system and rejoin, you know, the earth, the balance and in sync. And so I think that at any point in time, you know, it was an example that someone said it was a wave. Like karma is like a wave, a wake that goes out. You know, the more you put out a heavy negative karma wave and it goes out to the other shore and it's going to come back and hit you, but you can also start putting out smaller positive waves where you realize that, you know what, I need to evolve and move forward. I was
like
on a
that
team
person.
I probably shouldn't have been.
Yeah, like that person who wrote the book, the ones who was involved in like making the countries going to war, and then he came out and he said how is war actually done, how the hit how is the book. So he exposed actually how war is done, like the hitman. Yeah, you talk a lot about it actually, but I don't know. Like they try to bribe the governments, and then they
Wars. No, Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
So he changed also. He was in that environment, and then he saw it's totally wrong. So
yes, great example. Oh, perfect example. Right. So we realize that, okay, well, why is America strong? Right. It's not because we're smart. It's not because we're better. It's not because we work harder. It's not because we're freer. None of that is true. We are stronger because these international corporations have been using our governing corporation to blow up other nations. And so we're allowed to print this money and get this fractional reserve debt that we're building up because we're enslaving other nations to this IMF and debt through economic hitman. And this is one of the gentlemen, and I forgot his name. It slips my mind for a second. Somebody will post it because we talk about it all the time. John Perkins, right? Thank you, whoever posted that. He realized I've been wrong. I can't do this anymore. And now he goes around the world talking, and he wrote a book explaining to people how he was involved in things that nobody on earth should be cheering, clapping, voting, or being involved in. So he's putting out that positive karma. Another one Well, all these whistleblowers. I mean, he's one whistleblower in a literal whistleblower apocalypse of people who worked on these things that they call UFOs and free energy and the FBI and the CIA and child trafficking. And like all of these people are realizing that they're putting out such negative karma and that is coming back to them. And instead they're changing their ways. And to me, that is a phenomenal thing. I wish that I were strong enough to say that if I were in any of those positions, that I would literally stand up to the most violent people in the world to try to put out good karma and do the right thing.
Lori says, living in good intentions brings good karma and bad intentions bring bad karma. I sent you a meaning of karma in the G-Stream chat out of a 1933 dictionary. I don't know if you can put that up, but it gives a little, it kind of gives more of a broad, the word karma has been used. I always like my 1933 dictionary just because I can go in and understand that some words have been sort of made up on society and put out there, and some words have been around for centuries. So that is a fact. And so you kind of go through that. That's why I keep an old dictionary. I was lucky enough to run across one at a secondhand store 15 years ago. And so I checked these words, a cross-reference between that and Wikipedia, all these different dictionary online things that are kind of directing traffic on meanings and everything. And I always cross-reference back to this older kind of dictionary. And anyway, it's just interesting, and really I think people are reaching out, trying to figure out, especially in these terrible, censorship times where we're under complete attack, and it seems like, and it's hard to escape the negative. Very difficult right now.
That has to do with the friends that you have, brothers. You got the wrong friends. You got to get some good, positive friends. I have a lot of positive friends.
Yes, me too.
People tell me that. They're like, you're always so positive. Why are your spirits always up? And I do a video almost every day. It has nothing to do with me.
No,
it's these people. They keep me laughing. And when I get off track, they kind of pull me back. And like, we work together as a family. And so, I think that we do become our environments. But I'm going to chime in on this. Living in good, I struggle with this. I'm struggling with this comment here. So living in good intentions brings good karma, and living in bad intentions brings bad karma. And I want to say yes. I want to agree. But there's something in the back of me is saying, is it really about the intention or is it really about the action, right? So the consciousness side of me and putting energy out says, yes, it's about the intention, right?
But then what about children? Little young children, they have nothing. I mean, they don't even put things because they're born in an environment. That's always my question. Little babies or very young children, they have nothing then that if they're born in a very destructive environment, they don't have bad intentions, I think, because they're not having not yet having that concept of what is good and bad intentions. They just suck what is around them. So they just.
I think everybody has good intentions. I don't think any. I struggle with this, right? And so maybe it's just I don't picture anyone saying I'm going to do this and it's horrible. They say I'm going to do this, and maybe they say, you know what, this part of it isn't good, but this is going to be for the greater good. This is going to help people. And like it always goes back to the guy Bittner. You can't even say his name anymore because the censorship is so damn ridiculous. But Bittner, what he did because he thought it was the right thing. He was trying to help. He had good intentions for certain groups where he was trying to do the right thing.
He tried to rebuild Germany, and he did actually a long time good, but then that's what I wrote later somewhere. The other countries didn't want to work with him together. He was not, I think in the beginning, I have to dig that up, that he was not planning to conquer everything, but somehow he got so much tensions back, but actually his intentions were good in the beginning. He wanted to rebuild Germany, and he had, I have to find that document. He was not really like evil, but later on, his mindset, I think, I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he got possessed or whatever, but he started actually good. Hitler.
So I want to jump. So is it possible that your intentions are good, but then there's a paradigm shifting moment where something is revealed to you and you realize that you thought you were doing good, but you realize that you weren't? Does bad karma start at that point where you know better? Because I believe that we're all faced with that. Like, you know, I lived my whole life, corporate America, making as much money as I can. The more money I made, the more debt I created, the more people I starved by putting money in a bank account. And when I finally realized that that is a fact, there's no question that the more money I make, the more starving people that I'm taking from, that I have to change my behavior. And so is it that there's a stopgap point where this, and there's a scripture for that, right? It's like the Holy Spirit works within to save those or something like that. Is there a moment where, you know, and this is how we learn, right? We're moving forward because we're living unsustainable, we're living evil, but we don't know it. Our intentions are good. And then we hit that point where we are obligated to change our behavior and move forward, that we're not creating bad karma because we think we're doing what's right. I don't know. I'm just thinking maybe there's a stopgap point where that bad karma kicks in.
Could I come in on that? You know, I believe karma is generated by a purposeful effort. So what we have in the universe is power. And what the ancient time people were trying to harness was as much of that power as they could. And this is the power that comes from the universe and what was set into the motion of this universe. And this is an intentional act. So if you want to raise your consciousness, you can do it today, right now. So the way you start doing that is you start speaking the things that you that you believe that can affect change for good and can empower your own life, as whatever that is that makes you feel like you're at a higher level in life. And you can begin today to enact that. There's nothing you have to wait for. The power is right here, right now. That's the way I look at things. The power is in right here, right now, right in this chat. These people in this chat could get out of this chat and go in a room and get to a higher level of consciousness, speak positive things in their life and into their soul. And if they do that every day of their life, eventually that's going to show forth in the universe as this guiding kind of principled light. And so there's positive and negative energy, I guess, and it's a matter of purposeful. No, it's purpose. You have to learn to harness it and then put it into motion. This is what the ancient time people have been trying to do for all these years, all these thousands of years, and they do know how to do it. But that's kind of another thing that, you know, the leaders of the world kind of know how to harness this stuff, some of them in a lot of different spiritual ways. And I know that gets pretty deep, but you know, it's a purposeful, you know, everybody in this chat, everybody that's watching Gerard every day, they have a choice. And you have to put it into motion. It doesn't just come to you. You have to decide that you want a more positive, enlightened life, and you start to speak this into the atmosphere every day.
Yeah, I believe that. But if you put, you can, but it has also to be a little bit spontaneously. I mean, you cannot like force it. You have to evolve also out of something, because if you do it like I have to, and then it becomes compulsive. And I don't believe so much like I believe in change, like water. It goes soft and patient until you reach a kind of level that you're never going down again. But I think it's a growing process. I don't think you can from today to tomorrow, now I'm going to be positive for the rest of my life. I think it's more a kind of growing process, and I think at some point you will be positive for the rest of your life, even whatever your circumstances might be, because you have reached that level and you build a kind of steadiness which is totally yours. It's not coming from outside.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't happen overnight. I agree. However, if you don't start, today,
yeah,
if you don't
that's true.
start today, like right now,
Yeah.
there's no starting. I mean, it doesn't just come to you. You have to start, and you have to harness the universe. You have to harness the energy. You have to act on the energy that was given to you.
I tell you what, y'all are putting tears in my eyes. Let me tell you what I'm feeling right now. This is crazy to me. You know what you just did sounded like? It almost sounded like an altar call. It's crazy. It's just like we live in this time. Like I think about the people who I used to run with who are very political, and they're still off, fighting against each other, right? Fighting these tribal wars, keeping the planet in this negative vibration. And it just feels like there is a shift that is really, really happening, that people really are wanting to change their life and do better and be better. Just put tears in my eyes. I'm going to use this stopgap moment to play a little more of the Tao Te Ching, but I also wanted to thank everybody for being here, because, you guys are the only reason why I'm here. Like, I literally survived by, the people who were bopping around here, who are like really helping me to raise my vibration. And it's a beautiful thing. And we don't always agree. And clarify to anybody who's new, nobody here is trying to force you to believe anything. Right? We are all on this voyage. We are all evolving ourselves and trying to move forward our consciousness.
And that's a beautiful thing.
I'm gonna try to play a little more, because we will never. This will be a 1,000,000-part episode. I do want to try to keep it down to about 1,000, 1,000 parts. I'm gonna play the next section because it says we have a stop.
Primal virtue.
Yeah. This is the primal virtue.
30 spokes converge upon a single hub. It is on the hole in the center that the use of the cart hinges. Shape clay into a vessel. It is the space within that makes it useful. Carve fine doors and windows, but the room is useful in its emptiness. The usefulness of what is depends on what is not.
Pure and selfless actions.
That's a hard one. That's
difficult. Stop there. You guys want to go forward?
Well, I think selfless. I think that's an interesting topic if you do.
Well, for me, it always is. If it starts a conversation, when I think of selflessness, I have to say I think of my hero, and my hero, and shouldn't have both heroes, but the person in my life who did the most heroic things was my father.
Yeah,
he was the most selfless person I know. By God, I just found out this man he did all types of things while he was alive that I knew nothing about, and my family knew nothing about. I have a friend of mine who's currently in jail, and I'm trying to do everything I can to help him get out. But he told me last week that my father put up his $200,000 bail 15 years ago. I had no idea. My kids told me about, they were in the van with grandpa driving around DC, and grandpa would stop, get out the van, and go give the homeless guy some money or something. Like, it was crazy to me. So when I think of selflessness, and it doesn't mean that my father was an angel. I know he wasn't, right? Like, we have these ideas that hero means you're an angel, and you're not. From Julian Assange to Martin Luther King and women and Gandhi, and people say him sleeping with little kids, whatever. Like, we all have something that we do that is amazing, and we all have things we do that suck. But when me personally, I watched him to his last days on earth serve other people, and even in the serving of some of those people, it helped his lung disease to speed up faster and die. And some of those people are on my Facebook, which I won't go through, but his whole thing in life was to help people. So when I think of selflessness, my goal is always trying to be better and be an upgrade of what my father was. And I don't think I ever will be, and that isn't the name of my YouTube channel. When I think of being selfless, I think about the people who denied everything. I think about, you know, those, the JFKs, the Martin Luther Kings, the Bob Marleys, those who paid a very high price, the Christ, the Paul, you know, those who did things. And in the last moments, they, you know, they were at such a level of consciousness that I think that they knew that probably this is going to be the end. And so I'm going to continue to do the things that matter, right? Not have a career, not have a big house, not have a bank account. I realized that, you know, every time I engage in this system, this systematic thing that is hurting other people. So in terms of selflessness, I think the things that people give up and do for others that they will never see anything in return for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How about you, Christine?
About
you know, I'm very egotistical over the years, and you know, I've become more selfless over the years. But I feel like, you know, as a musician and you know, somebody that was always self-promoting, and you know, sometimes I felt guilty about acting like I, you know, had something going on. It's been a difficult thing to learn, is selflessness.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I don't see myself as selflessness. I know when of you experience when you doing good. I mean, just spontaneously you feel better every time when you do. I mean, that I can feel very well when you do something good. Even sometimes I don't want to. I think, no, this person needs this. I'm going to effort because I want to do something else. I want to enjoy with something else. But when I do it, I feel my energy is rising. I can literally feel that when you do something good for someone else, you feel more joy. But sometimes, yeah, I'm not always. Sometimes I really have those kind of desires, which I think, really, I want this, and I think, and that makes me frustrating, and it makes me, yeah, it doesn't make me feel good. Anyhow, it's also kind of surrendering, because if you surrender, I think whatever you need, what is good for you, it will come to you. But whenever you are compulsive, you want something really badly, you make yourself difficult, because whatever is meant for you will be, I mean, you make it more easy to come to you when you are like the emptiness, like in the Tao Te, be empty and let you be filled, let your cup be filled by the divine. It's like you want something, but then something might be good for you, but then the divine has something 10 times more better for you. And that is trying to be selfless, because I think that is a way of totally confidence in life with the big L. I mean, that's how I want to be. That's my goal, actually. Try to surrender more and more, being not like sacrificing your ego, but not your sacrificing like when it hurts you. I mean, that maybe is not a good sacrifice. I mean, yeah, people died but for a greater cause, and I think it's good. But I mean, sacrifice in the bigger thing is you sacrifice your little self for the bigger self. I mean, the concept, and you feel good when you do good for other people.
To me, it is in the codings of humanity to do good things, and when I say that, I mean that we get rewards, right? We get endorphin responses when we do things that we should be doing, right? And my example, which fits in, I think, good on the holiday season, for anybody who's going to have a holiday this season, like all of the kings and the leaders locking down, telling you not to, they're all going to go with their families and have holidays.
Yeah, gosh, it's terrible.
You know, when you give someone something, it makes you feel good, right? When you're mean to someone, it makes you feel bad, and it's not just a feeling, right? These are just chemistry and biology, and you know, endorphin responses. You're being rewarded for good behavior, and you're being penalized for bad behavior. So
it's just the energy,
right? It's the energy, and that's one of the things I get to my grandmother, and that she always did great things for people. She always did wonderful, amazing things for people, and you know, I still to this day struggle with who even my family is. I mean, I have so many, you know, extended family members we thought were family because she had everybody around. But when you do good things for other people, it makes you feel good, you know. But when you do something and it brings somebody to tears. Like, an example is unfortunately, people need money to survive because we're crazy, we're stupid, and we're keeping this economic system where people have to be forced laborers. Won't go through that. When you give someone money and you didn't even know they needed it, and it brings them to tears, it makes you feel. I mean, there is, and maybe it's an energy exchange. Like, it's not about money.
It's what
about
Jesus
you
says.
did something, and you're picking up on them exploding with joy and releasing of suffering that maybe you didn't even know that. And to me, that's an encoding deep within the human DNA or consciousness, that when you do good things for other people, you're doing what you're supposed to do. When you do other things, which gets back to the political system, right? When you cast a vote because you want to abuse other people for 4 years, when you cast a vote and you know it drops bombs all over Africa, when you cast a vote and you know it's robbing other nations or keeping them in the third world, those aren't good feelings, and maybe once you know, right? And once you know, but I think that it's encoded in us, God, this consciousness, this universal, do good things for each other because you are each other. And maybe it's like you're hurting your finger when you beat somebody in an argument because you're right and they're wrong. And you're literally cutting your own finger, because we're all connected and we are supposed to be good creatures. We are supposed to be loving creatures.
Is that not in this Bible saying, when you give your life, you win it, and when you want to keep your life, you lose it? So that's what something like that.
Get it, Joe. I know you know that one. Those who give up their life will gain everlasting, will lose it. No. Those who strive for life will lose it, and those who I know you know this, Joe.
Well, they'll just gain everlasting life, or everlasting something in the kingdom. I can't remember exactly the scripture.
Yeah, the kingdom of God. Yeah,
in the kingdom of God, and basically, that's true. But
because you forget about yourself, and then you're actually free. Otherwise, you imprison yourself with your own little nonsensical things. You make a prison from yourself, by yourself, and when you let it go, you win. I mean, that's the energy flows again, like the Tao Ching. The energy flows, and you're on the right path.
Like, self-absorbed is the opposite, basically. So if we're self-absorbed, if we're always thinking about our own affairs instead of kind of maybe, and I need to do better at this. I mean, at least once a day, check on somebody, or give them a, check on somebody else. Man, I have my issues. But
no, you know what, brother? You don't have no issues. You have not met me yet. You have no idea the corrupt criminal activity happens in my brain. No, you guys are perfect compared to me. But I got to hit CJ, and this is what I mean. How we have people who pull us back, right? Because they don't even count the votes, right? And this is the better understanding. And between what CJ said and what Diane said, or Rachel said, she said, that's why I can't vote. I can't get behind the negativity. They don't count the votes. They don't care about your vote. They own the system. No matter who you put in place, they can just change the paycheck and have it go to a different person, assuming if you're putting them in place. If not, it doesn't really matter. It's a selection, not an election. But either way, it has nothing to do with votes. It's about consent, right? It's about, I consent to this dark negative energy, this system that places me above other people, so I can maintain this privilege, this house, this car, all of this crap that's been stolen from around the world. And that's what I mean, how we have friends who always pull us back and help correct how we talk by reminding us. I love this little hive mind. I'm gonna drive it forward and do another section. Is that okay?
Yeah, let's listen a little bit more. I think that was very interesting, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, it's very.
Oh, you know what? Can we do this? Does everybody have a headset? Because there's an echo. They were saying.
Yeah, there was an echo.
Yeah, let me get my.
No, I did put off my face. Normally, it cannot come from me. So.
Okay, maybe it was me.
Oh, look at that! Somebody put a my quote. I always like my quotes. What did he say? What did this fool say? He said, Do good things for each other because you are each other. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree
like
with that. I don't think I said that, but yes.
I like that one too. I read that
Yes,
one.
I agree with that. That dude might know something, but it's not him. I think we're all taking input from everywhere else. It's funny, people say, "Oh, well, you know what? You said this." And I said that. No, I did. Are you sure? So, yeah, we are each other. You can't hurt anybody else once you know that you are each other. You can't agree to consent to bomb and steal from other people when you are other people. You can't agree to an organization that's sanctioning you're another part of yourself in Venezuela or anywhere else, And I think that's the beauty of today is there are so many people who are raising their consciousness level.
Yeah.
A little more.
Yeah.
Tell me if the echo's gone.
The 5 colors blind the eye. The 5 tones deafen the ear. The 5 flavors dull the taste. The chase and the hunt craze people's minds. Wasting energy to obtain rare objects only impedes one's growth. The master observes the world but trusts his inner vision. He allows things to come and go. He prefers what is within to what is without.
Yeah.
Favor and disgrace seem alarming.
That's good.
High status greatly afflicts your person. Why are favor and disgrace alarming?
Anything? Keep going.
That I missed that last one. Why are favor and
I might be able to back it up. I'm not sure if I'm that good yet. No, I don't back it up.
What's
We'll go. So
no,
go ahead.
Why is favor? What he's saying, I guess, is why is there favor and then non-favor?
Yeah. Okay.
It's like this is
like and not liking is not good because it's like
right.
Well, says more about ourselves. Yeah.
I guess he's making us think who's in charge of that.
Yeah. Why? That's actually my guru always said. Why do you have favors? We're all one. If you have this, it's like a tree. If a tree likes only that leaf, and it feeds only that leaf, the root, then all the tree will die because it's favoring only one branch. That's why I said you have to. I mean, it's self-destructive if you have favors. She said you had a nice talk about it, but maybe later. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. If anybody wants to go ahead, I just posted the link where you can go ahead and go forward. So when I hear that, I hear a scripture, which is why I do this, and which is why I'm saying that all throughout this is riddled the truth behind what the Christ consciousness taught. Is that you can't be a respecter of persons. You shouldn't be a respecter of persons, right? Respecter of persons, respecter of races, respecter maybe of religions, respecter of people who live in certain places. And so it leads me back to something I was studying a few days ago or last weekend, which was how race was created, right? The modern sense of race and why it was created. I found it phenomenal that it was Virginia and Maryland, mostly the Virginia colony, that created our modern concept of race. And the only reason they did it is because the poor were gathering. They were getting together. There was so much interracial marriage in the colony back then that, as I understand it, if I mess it up, I know a lot of y'all, hopefully you watched the lectures, clean up what I said, but the King of England wrote laws to encourage more interracial, not in race. It's not racial. It's not the right word. Inter-ethnicity marriages, because they were the 0.01% were gaining in land when people did that. And so after Bacon's rebellion, and they realized the power of when everybody comes together, what they can do, which leads us back to the Tower of Babylon. When something realized the power of what we could achieve, it broke us up and gave us different languages. So what Virginia did, and they got caught in Virginia colony, writing a letter to England saying that we need to employ divide and conquer strategy, because when they come together, they're going to take back the land from the 1% or 2% of the time. So they divided up the 98% into what they were called races. And that literally is why people say race is not scientific, it's legal. Right? They created a problem for people to go off and struggle. And so now the conflict I have, because just the people who I tend to be around the most probably nowadays, is they're resonating in that fighting over the racist stuff, right? And I prefer this race or this group because it's who I am. And you know, I do struggle with trying to give people the concept that maybe you aren't what the law made. Maybe you aren't what Virginia Colony told you are. Maybe you're not white, and maybe they're not black. Maybe you're not black. Maybe you are alive. Maybe you're a conscious creature, and they gave you a label to create an economic system to keep you from working with other people so that you won't have an ecosystem. And so for me, when I hear that, you know, I just hear the divide and conquer strategy that they employed that allowed the 0.01% to now own the entire country of America. No Americans own any land. They got all the land back, and it's not even 1% anymore. It's 0.01%. But nobody owns land anymore. And this is what they continue to play. And so in taking that and tying it to modern times, I see that we have to shed these identities. We don't make it with identity. There's no such thing as being proud of your group and not anti to another group. You know, it's like when people hold up the sign that says all lives matter, and other folks are like, well, that's racist. That's not racist. That actually is correct. That's exactly who you should be, you know. And so
so like you're saying now, it's like he says, going outward, like the taste and the flavors, like identity is also going outwards, and you forget your inward energy, like inward thing. It's just
dividing you against yourself.
Yeah.
And no house divided against itself can stand, which is another scripture. And people know this, but I think what happens is we get so lost in the day-to-day and the television and the imagery and the hate and the anger and the division. And, you know, and we resort back to violent tools. And to me, identity has always been a tool of violence. It's been a tool of grouping people to create an economic system, or grouping with other people to beat other groups of people, and we're all one. And we can't remain divided against ourselves.
This is what's happening with all the stuff, with the mask wearing and all this stuff. Is another push to divide and conquer.
And, new identities are created, the maskless and the masks.
It's the same thing. Why? Because a global organization wants the whole nation, and they're going to get it if people keep playing this. I'm okay to abuse you because I'm scared, or I'm okay to abuse you because you're abusing me. And this, you know, I don't have a position on masks. Do they work? No, everybody knows that. Anybody who reads knows that. No, they don't work, right? You know, physics determines that. You know, OSHA determines that. They will sue you if you actually create a laboratory and get people to put these things on and tell them that it's going to protect them from getting sick. It's not going to happen. So no, they don't work. You know, but I'm not anti. If you want to wear it, if it gives you psychological comfort, good for you. I don't think anybody should abuse you because that's what you're doing. You know, in the same way around. But you can't abuse other people either, because the other people are making a solid case. That this is about mass vaccinating the entire population and creating a new world global slave plantation and a medical police state. You know, but we have to somehow, you know, it's that Chinese finger trap once again. They create a system that the more proud you are of your group, the more you abuse everybody else, the more you lock everybody else in.
Geez, that's what we're under. You know, we're under kind of this attack of divide and conquer right now, really. The way I look at it is, I don't know, you know, it's like I see everything, and every day we're barraged with something new, and more fear and second lockdowns, and the data's not clear, the testing's not clear. We're having all kinds of issues all over the place, but yet we're barraged every day by all this stuff. And so, you know, but that's what our new coalition is all about, is trying to get better word out, more educated, more the more knowledge, you know, the people will grow and come together. And without the knowledge, like we talked about early in the broadcast, you know, the people will perish, you know, in the end, if we don't reach out to them and try and educate, like Gerard's doing, like a lot of people are doing now. This is why we're here today together, us three, is how can we share what we have, you know, benefited from in terms of spirituality, enlightenment, how we feel about our life, and how we can maybe transfer that to others.
Yeah, and it's the thing, you radiate it more than by if you go outside and you have in a good mood. I mean, the people feel that, so they get more happier. But because most of the time I go maskless, actually 99%, and the people that don't notice it, I don't know, it's something that, and they talk to you, whatever. Sometimes after a while they say, "Oh, you don't wear a mask," so like suddenly they are aware you're not wearing a mask. It's like crazy, but you're in a good mood. You're talking, you're sweet, and they're happy you talk to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you radiate, and that is important. You have to, the love or whatever you feel, just go outside and let people feel it.
Yeah, I give people that advice, and it's not an easy thing to do. You go out, you know that the scrutiny is going to be there. You got the masked person at the door, and you're going, "Oh my God, do I have to go in here?" And then somebody has to ask me about a mask, you know. Yeah. So I just go in, like you said, I have to think to myself, because and I have to think myself, I have to go in there with a good attitude, put a smile on my face, and it's almost like you kind of become invisible because everybody else is in a very bad mood. They're very negative. And
actually, you can ask that. Sometimes I do. I mean, sorry, in my meditation, I sometimes like, "Oh, please, divine, please make me invisible. I want to be just share and smile and then bring." And it works actually. Maybe it's imagination, but it works because I believe in it. And if they talk to them, they're happy because people don't talk so much anymore. When I go the hiking, I see people, I talk to them because
and the best thing to do is to keep a smile on your face. I'm telling you.
Just by chit-chatting about everything except about masks. So that's all. But
smiles are like gravity. You know, when you see someone smiling, you gravitate toward them. It pulls you in, and that's what this psychological operation is doing to people, whether they know it or not, or like it or not. It's just making them avoid people. It's making them scared of each other. It's creating a new war on terrorism. But now everybody is a terrorist because anybody can have this virus, this war on nature thing. And so I was not going to say on that. You were hitting on wearing
that was really good, because I mean, go ahead, keep going, because you're on. I mean,
it's like that.
Everybody's got to have their point when they're done with this billionaire's game to make massive profit. Oh, this is what it was. Is that, you know how in real estate they say that you have a buyer's and a seller's market?
Yeah.
We literally, or they created a psychopathic market. They created an authoritarian market. They created an abuse market. And what I mean by that is because it's bringing all the abusers out of the closet so they can look at you and you're not following the rules. Put your mask on, and so it's bringing these psychopathic abusers, people who believe the television and these pharmaceutical industries, and they're tapping into their inner need and want to abuse other people. And so it's an abusive market. It's a psychopathic market. And at some point in time, it's going to have to stop. Half of my warnings with all of this, and I'd love to play some of Del Bigtree yesterday. I mean, such a positive. Oh, it was just such a positive thing.
Yeah.
I love listening to yesterday's Del Bigtree, The High Wire. If you haven't heard it, anybody
I did. I cut it. I cut it and put it out. So.
Yeah, I made some clips of it and I put it out on YouTube, and it was just like, you know what? Yeah, they might ban me again, but you know what? I really don't care. Like, this is such positive and good information that will never be repeated on the news, which is completely owned by the pharmaceutical industry because they want to sell you more drugs. And I had to put it out. It was such a positive thing. But we can't play it because if you put too many things in, then you get too many strikes and they just delete the video. So
that's
the invite everyone for Thanksgiving. That's important.
Right. I love. I mean, there were so many good points. One of the other, the great that he talked about was natural immunity. Right? They're looking at COVID, SARS, and the fact that people have had it in Italy since August 2019. Now they've been testing that. So we know this is not a Wuhan, China nonsense thing, that it's been around, and the people who had it, I want to say it was going back a couple years, correct me if I'm right, but they're saying the stability of it of the antigens that people created, it looks like it can last 17 years or more. And so now you're faced with a synthetic laboratory made product that they're saying is only going to last a quarter of the year, and you got to keep getting booster shots. And it doesn't actually work for the whole thing. It only works on certain proteins that they're using to give you immunity to. But when you get it naturally, it'll last for 17 years or more, right? You will never beat nature. You will never beat how all of these.
Gerard, you froze up, I think.
Yeah, he froze up. Yeah.
He's frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, you were frozen.
2 seconds. Yeah.
You want to? Okay, I'm gonna play some more. Let's try to get the next section in.
Seeking favor is degrading, alarming when it is gotten, alarming when it is lost. Why does high status greatly afflict your person? The reason we have a lot of trouble is that we have selves. If we had no selves, what trouble would we have? Man's true self is eternal, yet he thinks, I am this body and will soon die. If we have no body, what calamities can we have? One who sees himself as everything is fit to be guardian of the world. One who loves himself as every one is fit to be teacher of this world.
Well, you have to love yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you have to appreciate who you are, and you have to know that you're a person of
Creator.
You have something to offer. You're worth something, not as a self-absorbed conscience, but as somebody that's just worth, having an opinion. You're worth everything in this world, and so this is how we treat others, and this is karma. So.
And do it in a humble way, like respect the others, say what you want to say, let others say what want to say, and try to have an understanding of each other. I think it's very important. Like also the kind of selflessness, actually, but you put out what you think is good and let others do the same.
Did you guys hear the big push by all the governments of the world to teach people how to be do the things that we're talking about? Because it's good for humanity. Have you guys heard about that big government push?
No, I've never heard the government doing anything positive ever, not once, never. I've never in my entire life heard.
Well, I just thought I'd ask because they care about humanity, and I'm just wondering.
Everything is robbing Peter to pay Paul. I need to steal something from Christine and give it to Joe, or steal something from Joe, give it to Chris. Everything is tribal and psychopathically dark, low vibe, low energy, which is what I hope we get to the 20-minute section of this, where he explains that the best governors are those who govern the less. And it's such a deep teaching that, when you have a government that's worth a damn, it's very small. It means they're doing their job. If they're doing their job, they don't have impoverished people. They don't have homeless people. They don't have anybody killing and raping and turning to war on the street to feed themselves, right? Like this whole new idea that Biden's coming up with that, we're going to starve people unless they get the vaccine. Oh, you're not going to get your stimulus unless you get the vaccine. They're literally creating a slave plantation out of people. So all I hear is dark, negative energy from government at all times. And it's no different with Trump. Every time you say something bad about one, they think it's for the other. I'm against the idea of authority over you. When human beings are sovereigns, that's what this teaching is saying about, the best governors do the least governing. It's because they've actually done something that works. You're strong. You can take care of yourself. You're not dependent on them. You are independent. And so I'm way ahead of myself.
Anyhow. With those approval of COVID passports or whatever, there will be a nice black market to imitate.
Well, it'll be that, or they're going to get the civil war that they're looking for. Which is, and I think that is one of the biggest cautions in my mind. I don't like to mention it, but the reality is, by default, human beings will go back to doing what they've always done. And when you show up to people's doors, like, it's not possible in the United States of America that they will do what they got away with. Did you guys see the doctor in where was that, Germany, where he was in the middle of a live cast and the police started beating on the door and dragged him out the house.
Yes.
Yeah, they're going to set examples like
assault
that.
rifles trained on him, and he's just talking on the internet. I can promise you this, and I can guarantee you this 100%. I'm the most peaceful man on the planet, and I will not tell you what I'm going to do if I see my neighbors being dragged out of their houses. You're not going to get away with that in America. You're going to start a civil war, and once it starts, you're going to try to put the genie back in the box, but you won't be able to. You're going to divide up the military. You're going to divide up the National Guard, because part of the Civil War will be over race. Part of it will be over political party. Part of it will be over religion. Everybody will. And then Russia and China are going to sit back and watch that. All the terrorists around the world aren't going to watch that. You are literally going to watch the end of the United States. And I'm all for the end of the United States Incorporated. I'm all for, collapsing this corporation and recreating a republic. But if we continue to push this, we're going to abuse our neighbors and let people drag them out the house. It's not going to stand. We have too many veterans, and there are too many people who actually care about their neighbors to sit around and watch that happen. Too many people remember Hitler, and they're not going to wait, because they know where this ends.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying people have to make their choice, right? Because if you got that face diaper on, you're making your choice.
It's time to make a choice, man.
You got that face diaper on. You either want to die, or you want other people to die. You want massive amounts of people to die, or you want to speak Mandarin, or you want to speak Russian. You need to go in, because you're not going to maintain this country seeking to abuse other people in this way, letting these global corporations have their way.
Yeah. It's amazing what's happening. And, I can almost bet that, Trump is just a conduit to get this done. And it's getting done. Warp speed. I mean, in the comments, somebody said, they're already in other countries, making it mandatory. This is a push like we've never seen in our whole entire life. And this is the consciousness that we are at. There is no doubt that this is the largest push on humanity ever recorded in history of the world.
Yeah. And I'm glad that they're doing it. I'll go back to my earlier comment, which is, anytime that pendulum goes so hard, the harder they push that pendulum into corporation greed and billionaire 1% sovereignty, the harder these people, the people of Earth, are going to swing it back to human sovereignty. So the harder they push, the more people wake up. I was listening to Joe Rogan this morning, and because Dave Chappelle was on there, apparently. I got to the part where Dave Chappelle was on there, but another dark-skinned comedian, because I'm not using Virginia's legal terms to people anymore. And he said dark-skinned people aren't going to take the vaccine. And I kind of agree with that. I mean, you can't say that in terms of the color of a person's skin and what they want to do. But the majority of people who live in impoverished communities aren't going to line up to do that. And there's a great misunderstanding if you think people who have a long-running distrust of government, they hate Donald Trump. I give them that. They hate Donald Trump. But you're going to end up starting a massive conflict. People will not line up to get a vaccine to get food. Some people will. The majority are going to go find other means of getting food. And this brings about a collapse of society. If you think you have, enough police to kind of keep this in order, we don't. They're literally trying to start a civil war to collapse America, and nobody in America would do that. Why would a president whose entire family, why would a congressman or senator or any governor whose family lives here try to start a civil war on our ground, where even the most basic person's understanding of military strategy will know it'll collapse the country? These orders are coming from overseas. They're coming from corporations, or they're certainly landing on politicians that are psychopathic, and they don't really understand what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's easy for us to feel and see that right now. And so we just, this is the problem we're up against. It's a huge problem, but it's like you said, you're glad they're coming full force so that we can shift the universe. We have to shift it.
It's better, shift. We choose for life or for death. It's just very easy. I mean, it's now very clear. You choose for the life with the big L, or you choose for that.
But do you guys feel pain? I mean, I'm feeling pain from all over the world. Kids, I know that there's these lockdowns are affecting families all over the world. I feel a lot of just this pain coming at me from all over the place, and it's and then they keep talking about the winter and how bad the winter's going to be, and all these new weather events are happening all over the place, and I really feel bad inside. So I want to just keep reaching out. I want to keep trying to get people's conscious to a higher level so they can bring more people into our fold, because I feel like we do offer solutions on our networks. And that's, really what we need to do is keep educating and offer solutions rather than, just talking about, how negative things are. There's some things we're not going to be able to change, but there's other things
I think
that we can.
Yeah, your inside compassion works also. I mean, if you cannot do literally like in a way like, but the feeling of compassion is working. Like you have the compassion for the people who are in need, that also works on a very subtle level.
I feel different things. I feel an increase in pain in certain areas and an alleviation from other areas that those areas of feeling pain.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I feel that people in the third world who've been living this way under our boot in lockdown, for my privilege, right? Like the only reason I have this coffee is because we got the boot on the neck of people in Central America to get a penny for a pound of coffee or whatever it is. So we've been enslaving the world to lockdowns and abuse for a long time. So I feel a shift, but overall, I'll be honest, Joe, I think it's positive. I think that brother Kevin just came in the house. He's from
I see a bunch of.
I have a lot of friends from South Africa, and the things that they've seen over there, they already know that they will happen. Like they understand, what happens in civil wars, and everyone gets tribal and they join their groups based on neighborhood or color or religion or whatever. And you have a general collapse. And the only ones who benefit from that are the powerful ones that aren't there.
Yeah.
The ones who swoop in later when everybody is dead and poor and there's not much left and you destroyed your infrastructure. It's the banks that swoop in, the IMFs. It's like they did this to was it Kosovo, Sarajevo? I mean, they did this to them after they blew up the entire nation, which looked like America, started a civil war. They swooped in and now gave them debts, and now they're basically a colony, right? And so I think to a degree, that's really what's kind of happening here. And the strategy is consciousness coming together. I was going to hit on what you said just to make sure we didn't mention solution. Endless solutions. I mean, you have to go back and watch all the videos that these folks do, from the Zeitgeist movement to the Venus Project to the Ubuntu movement. My perspective, being an automation engineer, which is what I constantly get in discussions with my family about, which is, they just want me to get in the Black struggle. And I'm like, I'm not in the Black struggle. I don't care. Like, I can show you text messages from this morning, and it's just like, I don't really care. I don't care because we have resources for everybody.
Yeah.
So why would I decide that I want to give some people resources and everybody needs them for the whole globe to raise its consciousness? If we lived in some sort of tribal time where there weren't enough resources and we had to pick and choose who we took care of, that might be a different discussion. You might get me in that psychopathic space of ignoring, and being apathetic to another community. But we literally have no good reason right now to take care of one community instead of all children and all communities. We have the technology. We're just yet letting the 0.01% use it to blow up other nations.
Yeah. And again, they use division, because before in Kosovo and Czechoslovakia, a lot of different religions are living next to each other and they married each other. And with that, I think Chris Hedges explained that very well in a kind of speech of him. And then people get divided and they got killing each other. Same with the Tutsis and the Hutsis. Same. They just bring some element of fight, and they make they bring division, and that's what.
Yeah.
And I just want
like what Jeannie said. She said, choose your game wisely.
Yeah.
You're either playing it to win, or you're playing to get something for yourself or your little subhuman team. And I play this game to win. I win for the planet. win for the universe, the consciousness, whatever you want to call it, the human race. I'm not in it for a subhuman group.
Again, that's you going to the I Ching, like not group, not like, not favors. You win for the winning for everyone. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, want to play another clip?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's take another step forward. It's how to change.
That which cannot be seen is called invisible. That which cannot be heard is called inaudible. That which cannot be held is called intangible. These three cannot be defined. Therefore, they are merged as one. Each of these three is subtle for description. By intuition you can see it, hear it, and feel it. Then the unseen, unheard, and untouched are present as one. Its rising brings no dawn, its setting no darkness.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's deep. Wow. Well, the first thing that caught my, of course, attention is invisible. So that's an interesting word to hear this morning. But my goodness, what can I say about invisible? The whole thing is that's an easy one to just kind of use. There's but everything isn't. Gosh, I don't know what to say about it. But it just struck me that word is being used so much right now, too, that all of a sudden, this recording that we're listening to is probably something that was recorded how long ago?
That's a Christine question.
Okay.
This from the teaching. Oh, that's like 4,000 years ago. And he talks what I see. The invisible is the divine energy.
Wow.
We don't hear it, we don't see it, we don't feel it. I mean, you can, but you can sense it, inwardly.
Gotcha.
And that is, I had a post this morning on my timeline. You should see it, and about how somebody felt how enlightenment came to him or her. There's no name on it, and it's very interesting to read it. I don't have it. You should read it, and it's. Suddenly he felt that, but then in a very, very, very high energy frequencies, like a volcano of energy that came out of him. And he felt like immersed in the bliss of the divine. And then, like all gurus, they say that is the only reality people should live in. Because you create your own hell all the time with your little egos, and all the time. It's you who create it. Divine is always the same. It's always bliss and joy and truth, but you have to reach out for it. And it's never forcing. Divine can never, you have to desire for it. That's what they always say. You have to desire for it, and when you desire for it in a pure manner, it will come to you. It will, I know it's nice, you have to read it. It's the enlightenment, true enlightenment, how he felt it, but not everybody can. I didn't feel it like that. But so like a little bit, you can feel the joy and the energy when your heart is bubbling. When you feel joy, you're close to the divine, wherever you are. And that is that invisible thing. It's like the nourishing energy, which is in everything and everywhere, in the leaves, in the sand, in the stones, in the animals, everywhere, with everything.
Yeah. And I'll just put that. So, I mean, the reason why we're doing this is, once again, I was raised in the church. And it really blew me away when I started seeing the teachings that originated with Christ in other texts that go further back, right? And so it led me into this belief that I think a lot of you guys dragged me kicking and screaming into, because I didn't want to go. I was like, nope, not going. That, there's a Christ consciousness. It's never left. It's still here, and it reappears itself in different people over long periods of time in different religions. So we're going back to this, oneness, hopefully, in this destitute time. But we have to,
I think so,
as best as we can, look for more documentation of the Christ consciousness, so we can figure out how do we apply it today and become better at what we're trying to do. Because everyone's trying. I think everyone is always trying to make things better. It's just that sometimes we think we got to rob and steal and abuse each other to make it that way, and that's a violation. So,
yeah, I mean,
another part,
the Christ consciousness, and the education that the Bible brings to the table obviously is very important, because it's a writing that has, like you said, it's emulated and it's transferred into other religions, and you can almost kind of see the correlation of all the writing. And you're either at a higher level of consciousness in some of these writings, or you're not. You know, the Proverbs are a very good example of a higher, sometimes a higher element of our thought patterns. But there's just a lot of things, do unto others as you'd have others do unto you. That's the same thing we were talking about in the beginning. And that's just, trying to come, in karma. I think Jesus went around and taught karma. He tried to teach people how to be, at that higher level of conscience, and try to be, go down to the connected human psyche, spiritual world, and connect with each other and be respectful. And, it's hard to, now we're pushed with all kinds of division and thought patterns, and everything's convoluted in the education system. So it's hard to bring a whole world together as one, in one consciousness. I don't think that's possible. I think somebody said that in the comments. I don't think we can expect to a whole world to just be the same people, with the same thought patterns and everything like that. That's probably never going to happen. There's always going to be division.
Yeah. But I think the same thought pattern is not necessary, but the same, if they can in touch with their own self, then they have the different inspiration which lifts up everybody, but according their own individuality, but then for the positivity. Because otherwise, if we are all the same, then we get a great reset where we have to be all robots. But that's not. I think the universe is diverse and colorful and beautiful in its variety. So that is, and if we can respect that, and it's in a positive way, then we add to colorful and joyful life. I think it's not like the same. I think it's not meant to be. I think.
So what they're trying to do on the globalist level, these nutcases that are running this operation, it's that's what they're thinking. They're trying to convince people to all think alike.
Yeah, and some people that think, okay, it's good, everybody has the same, nobody is poor, nobody. Yeah, they make it so attractive, like people who are ignorant. That is okay, it's going to be very well, but that is the deceiving part of of the cunningness and of the power. The ones who are won't have all the power. So.
And I come from a Christian background too, very, very, very much so. And Gerard, we had a conversation about that before. And then I kind of evolved, into a more wider arena of spirituality over the years. And now I look back at politics different. I look back at religion different. I look back at my whole life a little different. Now, this is the first year that I was taught that, and it was Gerard that taught me this, is that when I vote, that I'm voting for my own control, to be put on me. I think it was a show that you did, or early on when I first met you, it seemed like it was your show. And it was and I just had gotten done voting, and this was just last month. And I'm like, or this month, or last month when I did a absentee ballot. And then I got to thinking, well, maybe I just maybe this whole thing, we need to go about this differently, because if I vote, then I'm accepting the system. I'm accepting what they've put in front of me as reality. And whereas it doesn't have to be, we can create a whole different reality as to what we've been conditioned for. But look at how long we've been conditioned. And so now, what is it going to take? It's going to take, we were talking on the podcast last night that we were all crazy last night. We all just decided to go live. And, but we were talking about that, how, gosh, I just lost my train of thought, but it was important. I'll think about it in a second. So Gerard, you go ahead with something. I'll come back to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, there's a lot there. I can't take credit for anything. I'm a parrot. All I do is I listen to people everyone knows something I don't. And I feel if I'm kind to them, that maybe they'll love me enough to tell me that thing. So I pass on things that I feel are true. So I appreciate if any of the things that we did as a collective helped. But that's really what it comes down to, is us being a collective. I appreciate how Christine put it, is, well, will the world come together? The world is already together. Like, there's no work that has to be done. We're already one. Everyone thinks that they're doing the right thing. There's nobody out there who's doing it who intentfully, this is wrong, it's not going to benefit anyone, and I'm going to be horrible about it, and I'm going to do it. Everyone thinks that they're doing the right thing. It's encoded in our very DNA to help. The only thing we don't have is an acceptance that we're all universally connected, that we are all one human race, that we are all one 7 billion member family, and the cousins just all walk different directions and got on boats and sailed. And so all we need, will the world come together as one, as clones? Yeah. If we continue this new world order crap, yeah, we'll all be zombified, cyborg, biochipped clones, which is what they want. They want us to be a global slave plantation.
And it's all for your own good.
How they want.
It's all for your own good.
We're either going to be all one as a global slave colony, slave plantation owned by a 0.01%, no matter what political party or nation government you support, or we are going to be a hive, one connected, conscious mind that are all individuals. It's like, will everybody come on the same accord? Everybody doesn't have to. You want everyone on different accords, going different directions, doing different things with different passions, respecting each other's sovereignty, because we realize we're all family members and we're not scared of each other. And that's so do I think everybody will come together? Hell yeah. It's either we're going to come together in freedom and sovereignty, or we will be brought together under a massive digital social credit score slave plantation umbrella of the 1%, the 0.01% who think they own the damn planet.
Yeah.
There is no black, there is no white. Anybody still in these struggles, America versus China and China versus Russia, and anybody who's still in these little silly, foolish, low vibing battles, you're a part of the problem. And that was the hardest thing for me to get, Joe, was that that I'm actually a part of the problem. And me feeding into the divisions that they created empowers the system to enslave me further. And that's why I understood that. Like, so wow, I get it now. When I'm voting, I'm giving consent to the system that it has a right to do the things to me that it does. And Beaufont is another one. He's all, well, I got to give him credit on that. He always keeps that root level. As long as you got a government, you're not free. The very basis of it is the opposite of freedom. I used to think about it slightly different a long time ago. So the more legislation you have, because legislation, a law is basically telling you what you can't do. And so the more laws you have, the less freedom you have.
Yes.
The bigger your government, the more laws. And we have, over 1 million laws on the books now. This is not a free country. Right. This is literally a slave plantation that we're indoctrinated to think that we're free.
Yeah.
We need to free the planet. I go back to Pat Riley's song. We need to free the human race. That's why when he wrote that song, almost brought me to tears. I end every show with it because it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It's really freeing of the humankind. Yeah.
Oh, I remember what I was going to say is last night, we're concerned about people, as a coalition. And, this is why we do what we do, because, I guess it's part of our selfless contribution at times. And we get online and we do this stuff, but it's difficult to understand what the impact's going to be, if it's worth it. Is it worth it? Well, we feel like we're going to plant seeds for sure. We're planting seeds for that. It could be 30 year down the road generation. We're planting the seeds, hopefully, in different areas of the world. Now that's the least that we can hope for. The most we can hope for is like a total psyche change of the world, and things get like totally like to a better vibration. And all of a sudden there's something that happens that creates this new synergy. And that's what a lot of people are hoping, is the case. But I tend to just think it's going to be in between that. I think there's going to be a separation of the higher level consciousness versus the lower. And I think that's just going to separate, not in political terms, but as humans. And it's just going to continue.
I think so too, and maybe they evolve on their time. I don't know, but I think there will be a kind of separation between the one who are already evolved, trying to bring the others also, but one who are not really ready. And what can you do? What can you do? I don't know.
So anyway, that's the frustrating part of the coalition, is we just in our heart last night as we were talking, and Harsh had, a story about his family and, the pain that's going on in some areas of those conversations. And we wonder, with everything that we've been, that we're all trying to do as podcasters, this is something, that the universe put into our heart, right? So we didn't.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because the families, I'm the only one in my family who is a little bit trying aware of what is happening. They're all going with the narrative, and I see many of us among us are fighting with their families.
So he was discouraged, So
he was I can't grasp it.
Like, geez, what do I got to do to really? I mean, what more can we do and say?
Yeah. Now I try. Okay, you have your opinion. I just give information. Just look at it. Just see whatever you think about it.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. All of our we have the same family, people. I don't know if y'all know that we all have the same family. It's like, no, just listen to this doctor. No, because if I see it, I gotta change. It's like, listen to this scientist. No, read this document. They won't do it, and
they won't do it.
But to a degree, it's a good thing, though. It's a good thing because once again, everything is how it should be. But we all have the same exact family who, I got some Beaufonts, which was something to the effect of, you have to accept today, right? Consciousness to a degree is the acceptance of today. We built today. We all supported getting to where we are. This is where we are at our state of evolution, where most people find it okay to be, enslaved to billionaires. They literally think that they're owned. They think that they are, races and religions or whatever people want to, put in there. They think that they are. So everything is exactly how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
The question is, are we going to continue to go that direction or shift another? And what you said, Joe, what can we do? We can play another clip of the Tao Te Ching. That's what we can do. We can play another clip and start reapplying global intergenerational, perhaps universal wisdom. That it was obviously given to this planet to ensure that in times of despair, we default back to being in sync with nature and Gaia instead of being in sync and owned, by billionaires as commodities.
It goes on, unnameable, returning into nothingness. Approach it, and there is no beginning. Follow it, and there is no end. You cannot know it, but you can be it, at ease in your own life. Discovering how things have always been brings one into harmony with the way.
Yeah, so discovering how things have always been is part of my really my consciousness now. I was born in 1963, the year JFK was evidently just shot, and then so I go back and I look at the United States, and and this is why even on my show, whether or not I was a Trump supporter for a time isn't real relevant. It was that I was trying to find my consciousness kind of in this system, and then I realized after this year that that's just what it is. It's a system, and that's it. And the system, I don't have to accept the system. It's not my system. It's not my life. It's not who I am. Although for all these years, that's what I was taught.
Yeah. Everybody.
I love
That's the matrix. We discovered we are in a matrix kind of thing. I mean,
That's why I got the matrix around us. It's being able to actually read the matrix. I love what you just said. It relates to what Christ sent me this morning, and people are gonna be like, Christ Jesus said, no, Christ Henderson. It's a little different. Which was the inventor of the PCR test.
Yes.
Right? And what he explained, right? So he believed in the system and he went along with the doctor that made the PCR test.
Yeah.
If you listened, she posted, it was a good clip, it was like 3 minutes, where he kind of explained that he created this test and it's being utilized for the wrong thing. It's being utilized to say people had HIV at the time. Yeah. And it applies to today because they're doing the same thing where, you know, he's saying basically if you dig deep enough, you will find fragments to anything in anything. And that's why you have so many false positives and they do like 17 renditions. But anyway, his point, though, listening to his greater message was that he said, I don't have any problem with drugs. I don't have any problem with drugs at all. He said, the problem is the system, right? The system, the things we oppose are all systematic in nature. Doctors can be great doctors. Nurses can be great nurses. Teachers can be great teachers. Police officers can be great people. The FBI, politicians. But if it's within a system that denies your freedom, denies your right, and abuses you, and creates an economic means of sending everything into a darker and darker and negative and greed direction. It was beautiful listening to him and hearing you mention that, and where a lot of our discussions are leading to is we need to fight the system. It is the system that needs to be fought, and you fight it by walking away. It doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter what good you're doing. If you are within a cult, if you are within a psychopathic, greedy system, at the end of the day, you're 100% supporting where all this is going. And so it was great listening to that. And I refer back to him. I forgot the doctor's name. Somebody post his name so anyone else can go out and do research.
Yeah, I'll get it here.
I don't post as much as I used to because, you know, you've got to get past the whole Facebook prison things. And people who actually give a damn, they'll go look it up anyway. And I just tell people, and I say, oh, so many cases. The cases are going up. Ah! And I'm just like, well, what do you know what case means? And they have no idea what the case. I don't know. But the news says it's bad. I was like, okay, you trust the news? Okay, you know, does the news have pharmaceutical commercials in between?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, well, I've really hammered that. Of course, the media nomad. You know, I've hammered that.
Darlene just posted, Dr. Carrie Mullis. Listen to what he told you, and you'll realize that they did that scam with HIV, and they're doing it again now.
Yeah. So, you know, and speaking of Jesus and the times of, you know, we're like repeating history here. I mean, this is just completely repeating history. These governments just use everything as control mechanisms. I mean, that's all it is. And I don't know. Yeah, it's we just gotta vibrate higher.
Yeah, but the difference is we're now more awake. Like people are, the consciousness is much more higher than the older times. We are at that level that we can overcome it now. I think that's why this time is, like you always say, is an amazing time because we can get out of that prison if we choose for it.
Well, we can see the bars now. We never saw the bars before, right? You know, a slave ship is bad only if you know it's a slave ship. If you think that it's a cruise liner, you know, it's a what is that? I only got on one cruise once in my life, and I was about to, and it caught on fire. Those cruise boats.
Good thing you didn't go.
Canceled. No, I didn't go. It caught on fire. It was a good idea. I didn't go.
Okay.
I still remember. I think it was the Ecstasy, whichever one it was. But so if you think that you're getting on a cruise boat, like, yes, America, Democrats, Republicans, we're going in a great direction, you know, and you think, okay, it's going to be parties and pools and fun and food and all inclusive, you know, but then you realize that, wait a minute, to get food, I have to be injected with monkey and animal tissue and infant tissue, what? You know, to get a stimulus check. And so when they start to reveal to you who they are, say, okay, is this why they picked Kamala? Right. That, you know, she was a dirty DA, keeping people in prison, refusing to let evidence be. Is this why they picked Biden? Because he was great at creating systematic laws, systematic racism, and some other isms. Is this why they picked Trump? because he's a great businessman and they know he wants to be a billionaire again to make the deals.
And he can bring the other side over.
It's right. It's bad when we're in, and let's pretend we're all in Africa. Like, it's bad when people show up with chains and stuff and your friends and family like, yeah, let's go be a party. Whoa, put the chains on, you know, and get on the boat, you know. Yeah. And so we live in great times where it's obvious that if you want to see it, right? There's some people who don't want to see, right? There are some people who are so scared and they're fearful and frightened that they don't want to see it. You know, and to anybody, you know, still on the broadcast and still scared of viruses, I'll let you know, I'm actually, my creamer is bad. I'm drinking bad creamer in my car. I can see, smells just like rotten milk. It's delicious though. It's international creamers. And the reason I'm not worried about it is because of what they said earlier in the Tao Te Ching, which is if you live natural in sync with nature, your immune system works. Yeah. And I'm not telling you to go out and drink bad creamer. I'm saying that I'm a slave on a plantation. I didn't have time to go out and get creamer. I'm not worried about it because my immune system actually works. It defies some of the most worst things, the stupidest things that I do, because my immune system works. And this is, we have to go back to living in sync with nature. I'll repeat what Dr. Sebi said yesterday, and I'll go through the next piece of it. Is he said, my mama had a dirt floor and it was always clean.
It was nice, he said.
I've said that quote about 100 times yesterday. Once on Instagram, which I still have not figured out how to use. They got this new video thing. It was weird. But my mama had a dirt floor and it was always clean. And what he's talking about is living in sync with nature. If you have a dirt floor, you have the microbiology, the bacteria.
Yeah, but it used to be like that. Like
and to be healthy.
My grandma, they had a dirt floor. It used to be like that.
Sure.
Before, in the villages, they made it very consistent. It felt like they had a dirt floor. It used to be like it was actually naturally stone floor. The other floors came much later. I used to walk on that. And they were clean. And they walked also on bare feet because they have the energy of the earth.
Yeah, I appreciate stone. I probably can do wood. It's just carpet. It is literally a colony full of bacteria that's going to make sure that your immune system is busy fighting everything else, that you want to have the ability to fight the flu. I just love the concept from it, right? And just the understanding. The majority of people who live on the planet still live in earthen houses, right? Yeah. They don't live in, you know, filthy, chemical, off-gassing, poisonous houses that make you susceptible to dying from the flu. They live in earthen houses where there are natural things. There's bacteria that live in the walls and the floors that kind of protect you from pathogens and things that come in. And we just have to go back to living in sync.
Yeah. Like with hennep houses, it's very, I mean, used to be a lot of publicity on Facebook from hennep houses and things, but now you don't see it anymore. But that's actually the typical new style of houses that breathe and that lives. Those houses live, very sustainable.
I wanted to say just real quick before we move on to the next subject is about that comment I made about repeating history. And when I look at the biblical times, you know, during the Romans and all this stuff, you know, there was a fear factor. And I think now there's that fear factor. Once again, they've created the fear factor of I am afraid of what the government is about to do. A lot of people are feeling that fear factor. And so we're going through this once again. And it was talked about in the Bible. You know, this is where I say we're going just back in history. We're going through a cycle. Our governments have taken control of the world, and it was talked about way back in the day, and people lived in fear of the government, and I feel like it's starting.
Same.
Yeah, I'm gonna shift one thing there. In my view, governments haven't taken control. You have a central corporation that's governing, that's trying to govern, whether that's the UN or having the Crown Corporation, whatever it is. It's literally a for-profit corporation, and corporations that run the world globally. They don't see nations as, you know, things with creatures in them. They're just commodities, right? And I think when you view the world that way, everything makes sense, right? They'll collapse certain nations as commodities and raise others and collapse others. Like everything is just for profit. You know, corporations only care about profit, you know, which leads us back to this whole accountability thing, which I appreciate, which is we did all of this, we support this, and we hold it up.
True.
All right, let's go to the next one.
The ancient masters were profound and subtle. Their wisdom was unfathomable. There is no way to describe it. One can only describe them vaguely by their appearance. Watchful, like men crossing a winter stream. Alert, like men aware of danger. Simple as uncarved wood. Hollow like caves. Yielding like ice about to melt. Amorphous, like muddy water. But the muddiest water clears as it is stilled. And out of that stillness, life arises. He who keeps the Tao does not want to be full. But precisely because he is never full, he can remain like a hidden sprout and does not rush to early ripening.
Could you play that last part again?
It's beautiful.
That last, I wonder if we can get just that last one. I missed that.
Watchful, like men crossing a winter stream. Alert, like men aware of danger. Simple as uncarved wood. Hollow like caves. Yielding like ice about to melt. Amorphous like muddy water. But the muddiest water clears as it is stilled. And out of that stillness, life arises. He who keeps the Tao does not want to be full. But precisely because he is never full, he can remain like a hidden sprout and does not rush to early ripening.
So what the Tao, what does he refer to on the Tao?
It's the way, the Tao. It's the road, the way, the Tao. He remains on the center path, I would say. That's the Tao. He doesn't rush. He stays in his stillness, so he's always alert to for his inner growth. Like the cave is hollow, it refers to don't put myself with ideas from outside. I keep my myself like a flute, like in India they say a flute, hollow, so I can get so that divine energy can go through me. That's what I go, and alert and simple and humble, so they stay inward.
Well, he started out, the ancient people figured this out, and the ancient people did this, and then he moved into all this, and then those examples of the calming of the water, and then so this next thing I was talking about is just, and then the carving of as simple as carving wood, is like you said. I mean, it's just, we have to calm down. We have to look at things in a more calm state to absorb, the energy that's coming at us, and or reflect.
And to find the new solutions. I think there is always solutions, but there are solutions, but then how to bring them out? Like maybe I think like Einstein and like those great scientists who were always like inspired because they said when they slept, they surrendered to the higher consciousness. So they received their solutions through their dreams or through their sleep. So that's how we have to, and I think we can be there also in this time. I think all together we should try to reach that state of how are we going to get out of this mess. I mean, more or less. And then doing the solutions, like you said, like you always talk, Gerard, like the technology, everything is there. We have everything is, the solutions are there, but we just have to be able to do them.
Yeah. We have to do them. I tell you, so what stood out to me, and it's funny, like when you listen to this, to me, it's almost like reading scripture. I used to love to read scripture because you would go back and you get something different that you missed the first time.
Sure.
And it was based on the perspective and where you were in your walk at, that time in life. And so what I pulled out of that, I would say just came from my American doctrination, which is, filling your house full of jade. it leaves you full of insecurities. And they literally give us a bank account, right?
Yes,
And debt,
exactly.
where we can take the whole world and try to shove it in a bank account. And they make sure that the bank accounts are big enough to make sure that we can fit the whole world. So we can burn up the entire world, filling our houses full of jade. But the more jade we collect, and in that example could be money, gold, whatever, consumer stuff, whatever, the more you get, the more insecure you are.
Yes.
Right? The more you get, the higher you get in that Ponzi pyramid scheme of an economic system that they set up to keep everybody in conflict with each other, and in that nature in conflict with ourselves. The higher you get, the more insecure you are. The more insecure you are, the more you embrace the pyramid, the more you embrace the state, the corporation.
Because you want to keep it like that.
Game. Right, because you want to keep it like that. And so the more insecure you get, the more you're okay putting your feet on the necks of people in third world countries or impoverished communities or trailer parks or whatever. And so the system is perfect in design that it taps into your fear and your greed. It almost really does state that we really have to be careful with ownership. Right? We really have to be careful. The things that somebody said it earlier this week, the things that we own end up owning us.
Yes.
What is that quote?
Yeah, I think that's exactly, but I don't know who said, because your mind is always occupied with that things. Like people who have a lot of money are always occupied with money. Their mind is not free. While people who have nothing, they have nothing to lose. I mean, it's they own you, and it's like machines. If the machine should be in service for us, but we're not in service for the machines. It's like the competitive system always produce. So we are servants to the system. The system doesn't serve us. So in that case, that is like imprisoning us. So yeah, that is what wealth does. You want to keep the power, you want to have the wealth, but you are totally like in Jonathan, we are poor inside. We are not rich. We're totally poor because we forget everything about the joy of living, the love of living. We lose it. We sold our soul to the darkness, in more or less, and we are not even aware of it.
No, we're proud of it. We're proud of it. We literally take the things that shackle us and we're posting them on TikTok and Instagram and Pick the Chat and all these other places. Ooh, see how many people like me. I just bought a new car. I just bought a new watch. I just bought a new, see what I bought the kids for Christmas. And so we're literally, going into the Christmas season, we're literally proud of our enslavement. We're proud of the things that enslave us. We're proud of getting a bigger house. That requires more security, that requires more of the alarms, and it requires that we get a gun. It requires that we live in a secure neighborhood and we keep the poor people out of our neighborhoods. We have a guarded guard at the gate, and eventually end up as a politician in a gated community with a wall all around it, as the height of it, or a king, a Bill Gates or a Fauci, whatever. But the thing is that it's a path towards destruction, but it's a destruction that we're proud of. We're taking our own slave shackles and we're shining them, and look how pretty this is just so fantastic. And it gives us that psychosis. And this will be one of my last statements, because I'm going to try to wrap this up on my portion of it. You guys can keep going if you want. Or somebody else can come on, because I
have to go too, because dinner is ready here.
So what I'm gonna go back to, and I'm gonna end my last comment on Sadhguru, right? And what he said, he's one of my gurus, like Christ, like a whole bunch of other people, my teachers. He said, building a society on your success is you having things that other people don't. He said, that's not a society. No. He said, that's a mental illness. You literally are taking pride in the lack that other people suffer, right? And so you don't have a society, you have an asylum that you're calling a society. And it was beautiful, and I'm adding some stuff to it. But his thought was pure, is that we are excited to be these psychopathic, narcissistic, sociopathic, colonizing bastards and greedy, gluttonous, and we can't wait to give it to our kids. Like, oh, you gotta get it too. I got my psychosis. You need it too. I need to send you to school and get a good job, and make a lot of money so you can live this way and buy this and have all of this beautiful stuff all the poor people don't get to have. Yes, it's going to be a great life. And, and it's just so, I just think these are things that we need to think about.
Yeah, that's like social position is awarded in society. And like being proud that you made it and the other people, and you look down at the people who are struggling. That's literally our society. Is teaching actually, more or less. You follow us, and you will be good instead of following like the Tao.
Well, I think the solution is in that last clip. Part of the solution is, first of all, everybody just take some time to yourself, get quiet, let yourself think for a while, let yourself absorb what you're feeling. And it's very important. It's just like that thing said, the last clip we played, and it talked about the waters. What a perfect example of trying to just put yourself in a new realm of consciousness. And that's really what we have to do first as a community of people, is get to that. And that, and I believe that's what, Gerard, you're kind of called to do. You're so good at it. Well, you really are. You're really good at it. I think you're called to do it. I mean, you're out here just doing it, and you're raising people's awareness and their consciousness. And it's not. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's funny to me.
Yeah, it's true.
It's hilarious. I'm sorry. It's funny to me. I know me.
You laughing at me? You're always laughing.
No, I'm laughing at me. You don't understand. See, when you are saying stuff like that, I'm picturing the dumb stuff I do. I'm picturing this idea. Right. Wait a minute. These people know a hell of a lot more than I do individually, let alone combined. And I think
you're human.
I think it's hilarious, and I appreciate it. I do. Don't get me wrong. Brother, I love you, and I appreciate what you're saying. I really appreciate it. People say very nice, kind things about me, and something I'm working on, like taking compliments is not an easy thing for me, because I know from whence I came, and it's just, and I know where I'm still at, and I
I'll never forget.
I'm like, they don't know. Oh my God, they don't know.
Forget the past. Forget the past. Live the present. Forget the past.
But you were the.
Yeah.
All I can say is that I appreciate everybody. I love you all, and if anything that here is resonating with you, it's because I have powerful friends. That's all. If anything good is coming out of me, it's changing it's just weird. It's just people 70 years old, like, thank you. I'm like, thank you. You 70, you know every damn thing compared to me. And so it's weird, but it's a collective, right? It's not me. There's no way that I could do any of this without these people. So it's these people who bring the credibility to the conversation. Yeah. I bring jokes. I say that I have to pee, and I make funny things and green screens and technology. I do all of that. It's the people who are around here that are raising the elevation. So I appreciate that, but it's not me. It's completely not. I might be a conduit or something. But
but let me tell you the reason I said that, and it was because the first time I was on your show, I brought up the fact that I was feeling not so confident at times, I didn't like, putting myself as a pillar out there of any kind. And you turned around, you told me that, no, Joe, you are a pillar. You can make a difference, and you should believe in yourself, and you should promote yourself. And so when you said that, I looked at things in a different way in terms of how I think about myself. Not in a high and mighty way, but as a higher level conscious developer, I just keep growing. And when you told me that helped me grow, because it helped me give me a confidence.
All together we are a pillar, because a table cannot have one pillar, or it will fall down. So we all pillars to bring up the consciousness.
Take care of yourself first in terms of consciousness and awareness and meditation. And then the rest of the collective will start to come together. But that's really what you're doing, and I think it's that's what I think we're doing here. So it's great.
Well, in that way, and I'll try to I guess I'll do the last word here, because I do that run, is that you are powerful. Christine is powerful. And Heidi is powerful. Daniel is powerful. And all these people on this chat, Brett and Barbara and Melissa, I mean, you all chose to be here. You all chose to come at this time in this place as whatever spiritual consciousness to try to do what's right. You're all defying your families and your friends and the politicians and all the crazy corporations and all the things they're up to. Like, it takes a very powerful being to be here at this time and to do these things. And I think we all have to re-encourage each other, you know, to that fact that, yeah, we have rough days, we have hard times, we all go through things, but we are all here for a reason. And I'll leave it on Christ's words, because there's a consciousness to me, and that is greater things he hath done, you will do, Joe and Christine. He changed the whole world. He changed the entire landscape of the world now. A lot of it wasn't just for the good, because people like to take and use things for their benefit, but he changed the whole world. So everybody here is a time traveler. Everybody here is a powerful being. And we're, you know, and so I think we just have to encourage each other, lift each other up, and keep moving forward.
Agreed.
So
Agreed.
I appreciate everybody joining today. I guess this is part one, and Tao did Ching apply to today. We will do the next part, I would guess, on Monday, and we'll just keep going until we get through the whole thing. It's more fun to kind of read the book as a family.
I would love to be involved. It's great.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Open,
It was
so
fun.
I appreciate you guys for joining. You guys have a
Thank you.
wonderful